Today, we're going to be talking about some of the most haunting FNAF fan games ever created. These are games that stay with you long after you've stopped playing, thanks to their unforgettable atmosphere, disturbing imagery, and lingering sense of dread. Some of these don't just scare you, they stick with you for days, so let's get into it. Stories in Five Nights at Freddy's games. Typically, one of the most talked about parts of these games we love so much. However, I do need to bring up a question. When's the last time you've heard a FNAF story that you actually found interesting? After all, most of the stories in the genre are just retellings of the original story, and I think we can all agree it's starting to get old. Of course, every once in a while we get a masterpiece like Graveyard Shift at Freddy's or Chica's Party World Rebaked, but when's the last time you can really say you heard something completely new? Well, the game we'll be talking about today, in my opinion, has one of the best stories of all time. Split into two games, it goes on to tell one of the most unique stories FNAF has ever told. And the time between releases was almost an entire decade, with the second game only coming out earlier this year. The game we'll be talking about today is called The Last Sigh, the FNAF game with the most depraved story. The Last Sigh begins with a cutscene which takes place in an 8-bit minigame side-scroller. Usually these minigames are top-down, so this was pretty interesting. The art was actually pretty nice as well, and before we really dive into this game, I should make it clear that originally I'm pretty sure this game was in Spanish, as it has just been dubbed into English. So in some places there will probably be some spelling errors in translation. The opening cutscene gives us our main character, whose name is Valentina, which is 100% the name of a porn star. Actually, I just checked, and while it's not the first name of a porn star, it is the last name of one. In this cutscene, we learn that our grandma, whose name is Omegna, which is insane by the way, has given us a job as a security guard at her antique shop. Why does a family-owned shop need an overnight guard? That I have no idea. Either way, our mother isn't happy with us because she wants us to have a different job. Why? I don't know. A job is a job. Why are you pissed off? Vernon, the name of this guy, no idea what relation he has to Valentina, but whatever. He says that our mom is impatiently waiting for us and our grandma wants us to sign the contract to work for her quickly since the shop has been suffering. And first of all, why would I sign a contract to work for my grandmother? That just seems a bit weird. And second of all, if the business is struggling, why are you hiring another employee? That doesn't even make sense. Eventually, we do sign the contract and voila, get the reasoning for this entire game even existing. We even get a cute little note from our grandma telling us good luck, which is usually just seen as a kind gesture, but in this specific situation, I'm going to take it as a sort of threat. After that, we get our first phone call, and this is where I noticed that this game does phone calls exactly how Project Readjusted 1 did phone calls. That being having the phone call take place before the actual night. While that may be nice to help us just sit and listen, something you'll notice about these calls is that they are literally long as fuck. And to really let you know how long they're going to be, I'm just gonna play out the first call in its entirety, since it also does a really good job of setting the scene for this game.
Hello? Cristobal?
Hello? Valentina? Is that you?
Yeah, it's me. What's up? Why did you call me at this hour?
Well, your parents asked me to call you in order to be sure that you and Camilo have arrived at Granny's shop and that it's alright. It could be done by their own, but, you know, they're a bit busy with their business trip and all that.
Yeah, I know. By the way, it's not necessary for you to call me and worry about me. I'm fully grown up. I can take care of myself.
If you say so. By the way, it's probably that they're more worried of Camilo than any other thing. By the way, how is he?
He's alright. He's sitting in the corner of the room playing with his tablet. He wanted to explore the place, but I'm scared of letting him go around alone. When I officially start my shift, I'll send him to sleep in the back room. It's full of boxes and those things, but I adjusted it to make it more comfortable. To be honest, I feel it was dumb of my parents to have him come with me. Also, this place is a bit spooky during the night.
Spooky?
Yeah, it looks like the perfect place to make a horror movie with those overused jump scares and those cheap resources.
Come on. Don't be shy. I don't believe that ghosts and those things really exist.
I don't know if I believe that, but I feel as though one of those armors at the entrance will become alive and start moving around.
Oh, I think you have seen a lot of television, cousin. From now on, only focus on watching who enters to rob the things of the shop. Then, if you like, you can worry if the doll of your room is cursed or not.
So funny. Alright, what else do my parents say?
Well, they also asked me to try and convince you to quit that job. But I know you aren't going to do it, even if I asked you to do it. You're so obstinate.
It isn't only obscenity. I need the money. I've been more than a month without work. Also, Grandma needs my help.
I know, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you to quit, but just take care of yourself. If anything bad happens, call me, okay?
Okay, I'll have it in mind. Although I'm economically bad, I still can't pay for the phone bill.
I see. It's fine. I'll call you tomorrow then. Now, I gotta leave, because I have a early shift in the police department.
Alright. Anyway, I have to rest too. Talk to you tomorrow. Rest well.
You too. Take care. Good night.
So, that was long as fuck, huh? The reason I showed you that call is because it explains a lot of backstory about our character that I didn't want to have to talk about myself because I don't really like the lore of these games, I can't lie. But here we go. We're watching for thieves and apparently the place is haunted. Who gives a shit? Let's just get into the actual gameplay. Now, let's get back to the video. Sorry for interrupting. Twice. Alright, so night one. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. This game is fucking terrible. Holy shit, it's so fucking bad. But we'll get into exactly why as the video goes on. Before we start talking about the 7 threats this night introduces, yes, I'm serious, it introduces fucking 7 of them, we should talk about the tools at our disposal. Let's start with our flash beacon. It's basically just a flashlight, but shittier. You know how with a flashlight you can toggle it on and off? Well, not the flash beacon. Every time you click, a fraction of a second of light will burst out of the shot, basically illuminating nothing. You have no battery life for this beacon, so if you want to see something, then what you have to do is just fucking spam click a lot, and this is what it'll look like. Doesn't that just look so fucking fun and totally not the most annoying thing in the entire world? Of course, we have a camera system as well, as you probably could have guessed. They also have no power attached to them, thankfully. Something to point out about them is that there is a metric shitload of characters you'll have to look through. Except, I kind of lied because even though this game has this many fucking cameras, only about 5 of them are even actually important, so we'll just get used to those. You can also use your flash beacon while the cameras are up, so if there's something in your office and you know it's there, you can flash it with your beacon while searching through the cameras, which honestly is pretty nice. The final tool I want to talk about right now is the turntable. To your left, you will see this turntable and it's connected to an extension cord. You have to click on the glowing red switch to turn it on, and once it's on, the power to the building gets turned off and is used to power the turntable. I really have no idea why this happens, but it happens, so let's just live with it. Alright, that's about all of the tools that really matter, so let's jump into talking about the whopping 7 fucking threats introduced on this night. I have no idea whose idea was to add that many, but fuck it, let's just talk about all of them. And just a fair warning, the names for the characters in this game are flat out the most retarded shit I've ever heard, so prepare yourself. The first character we'll talk about is Huggins the Clock. And yes, it's literally just your clock. They made it a threat because fuck it, why not? Pretty cool though, I can't even lie, I've never seen something like that before. Every single time the clock changes to a new hour, Huggins will desynchronize his clock from the actual time. When he does, you'll have to quickly add or remove an hour from the clock to sync it back up. If you don't, then he's gonna put his clock without the L directly in your rear. Pin and Pawn are the next 2 fuckers I want to mention. They're these little stupid dolls on your right desk. At random, they will just fall over. Fucking retards. When they do, all you have to do is flash them and they'll jump back up onto their stands. If one of them leaves the table, you don't lose, but if both of them leave, then it's game over. Something you might be noticing is that these threats are not very challenging sounding at all. And while that's true that most of the characters in this game don't pose that big of an issue, what makes the game truly fucking horseshit is its terrible case of post-shift 2 syndrome, as it literally never tells you under any circumstance how to deal with these threats. It It's not mentioned in any phone calls, it's not written down anywhere, and there's not even an explanation after you die to a character. You're just left to fucking figure it out on your own. Do you know how stupid that is? Do you know how retarded that is? Who made this game? Satan? Because I don't know anybody else that could create dog shit quite as steamy as this fucking pile of fecal matter right here. Anyways, let's continue. There's still a fuck ton of characters to talk about. Just keep in mind that you're never told what I'm about to tell you. Handy the Panda is both the most generic name for a panda of all time and the next threat this night introduces. Pandy will start on camera 2B and move to 1B, then 1A, then 3C. Before we continue, I want to mention that every single animatronic in this game has the exact same sound cue, and it is incredibly loud directly in my fucking ears. When Pandy gets to your office, you need to very precisely put your mouse in the middle of his face, not a pixel too far left or too far right in the middle. Then spam your beacon right in his stupid bear eyes. Do this enough and he'll start violently shaking, which would imply you gave him a seizure, which I really hope is canon. And then after that, keep flashing him more since you can't stop when he's shaking. Only then will he finally leave you alone. All right, Dovey the dog is the next character to talk about. He is the first of 4 camtronics I want to talk about. And camtronic is a new term I'm coining to reference a character in a FNAF game that solely takes place on the cameras. I expect it to be used forever now. Thank you. Anyways, Dovey is super easy. Most basic camtronic of all time. He will start in Cam 2A. He's gonna try to progress through 3 different phases in this camera, and all you have to do is flash him once to make him go back on stage. If at any point you let him progress 2 stages, then he'll never be able to go back to stage 1, instead having his furthest back stage be stage 2, obviously making him much more scary to deal with overall. So how about we all just agree to not let that happen? Next up is Trojan, not the condom. Instead, it's the troll face mafia gangster. Yes, I'm serious, that's its name. I think it'd be more serious sounding if he was just a box of condoms, I can't even lie. Trojan starts in camera 3A and is quite literally exactly the same as Dovey. Seriously, the mechanic is identical. Just flash him to keep him away, and that's it. Next up is Dibby and Daba. Holy shit, these might be the worst fucking names yet. I can't quite decide. They're all so uniquely terrible. These characters are basically just one since they move together in tandem. They're in camera 3B, and they do the exact same thing as Trojan and Dovey. Are you beginning to notice a pattern with these camera characters? Because I am. They're all the fucking same. Flash to keep them back. Moving on. Finally, we move on to Karen, who is the name of a fucking dragon. So why the hell did they give a dragon the name Karen? Who knows? But do you guys want to take a guess what she does? She starts in either camera 4A or camera 4B. She can move between these 2 cameras whenever she wants, but her central mechanic is exactly the same as all of the other camtronics. That being, you just have to flash her every once in a while to stop her from fucking you. Hooray! Doesn't this just sound like such a fun, cool, and awesome game? No. Yeah, that's because it's just fucking not. This game doesn't have any post-night minigames, so that means we're free to just jump right into night 2, is what I would say if we didn't have another phone call. And remember how long that last phone call was? Yeah. Well, the phone call for night 2 is 6 fucking minutes long! No, I'm not joking! Why the hell is it so fucking long? It's double the length of the first night, and we're not even in game, so we can't even click through the cameras. We're actually just stuck looking at this stupid fucking wall for 6 minutes while some bitch talks into my ear about some shit I'm really not paying attention to. God fucking damn it, bro! During the phone call, Valentina mentions no signs of intruders, but of course mentions the moving characters. Parallels are drawn to the robots that move around the Fazbear restaurants, so I guess this game takes place in the same universe, so that's pretty cool. Haven't really seen that since we've covered Jolly. They talk about how the characters are sensitive to light, which we've already had to figure out on our own. Our cousin says she'll bring it up to grandma, but for some reason, we say we'd rather figure it out on our own. Why? I don't fucking know. Moving on to the night section. Night 2 introduces 3 new threats, bringing the total up to 10, and it's only the second night, so I guess I'll just kill myself. The first goon I want to talk about is Snowball and Ghost, the first not completely retarded name I've heard in this game. And these characters are the sole reason why we need our record player or the turntable. It's the same fucking thing. He serves to be an annoyance character and not a character that will actually kill you. Throughout the night, Snowball will turn off your fucking turntable himself, and will keep his finger over over it to prevent you from turning it on. This is where Ghost comes into play. While your turntable is off, Ghost will start to slowly manifest in front of your desk. Once he fully appears, he'll rip you limb from limb. Now you might be thinking, if I can't interact with Snowball, how am I supposed to prevent this from happening? Well, once again, the game never fucking tells you this. But after a certain amount of time, God knows what, Snowball will just choose to take his finger off the turntable with no sound cue, allowing you to turn it back on. So you just need to constantly be checking on this guy to know if it's safe or not to look at him again. And look at this stupid fucker's smug ass face. Stop looking at me like that before I take your carrot and shove it right up your ass. Next up is Matty Gavillion, who I'm just going to be calling Matt because typing Matty Gavillion just takes way too fucking long and I'm not about to do all that like 16 times. Occasionally, Matt will start to play a little tune on his guitar. The song will either be in your left or right ear. If you hear it in your right ear, you have to flash your vent, which I've neglected to mention so far because up until this point it hasn't been important. Anyways, if you hear the guitar on your left side, then all you have to do is flash the hallway until it stops, and congratulations, you done. Moving on, the final threat introduced on this night is Cocoa Bite, who is pretty straightforward. He will make his way from camera 2 all the way to the front of your office. You deal with him in the exact same way you deal with Pandy. You may be wondering why I'm talking about a game that's this fucking boring, so I'll go ahead and spoil the surprise for you. This game has a sequel that is a lot fucking cooler and that I really do want to talk about. But in order for me to do that, I have to first talk about this fucking dumpster fire. Anyways, night 3 time. Phone call for night 3 is 5 fucking minutes long for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Solely this long, probably just to piss me off. The phone call reveals another instance of supernatural phenomena where Valentina experiences nervousness and hallucinations intensified by the turntable's music. The cousin provides advice to unplug the turntable, but Valentina hesitates for sentimental reasons and practical concerns of breaking antiques. The turntable cannot simply be unplugged because of the snowman's interference. Maybe perhaps cutting it would work. They talk about not bringing Camillo, which I'm pretty sure is Valentina's cousin, in for night 4, and that's really all the phone call has to talk about. During night 3, you get the ability to cut the cord on the outlet to the turntable, but spoiler alert, if you do, Snow Bitch will just kill you, so don't do that. Pretty cool that you're allowed to though. This night only introduces one new threat, but if there's one thing you know about this game, it's the guy we're about to talk about. His name is Nabar, which those of you with a keen eye will be able to notice is an anagram for Barney. And the reason why it's an anagram? Oh yeah, it's because Nabar is literally just fucking Barney. Why did they not call him Barney? I have no idea. Unfortunately, he's not even remotely interesting at all. He's just exactly the same as both Pandy and Cocoa Bite. Get to the office, spam flash him, and he leaves. Boring as fuck. Now, at the end of the night, we get some dialogue of Valentina going into the back room where Camillo is supposed to be, except Camillo is fucking missing because he was kidnapped, and it was at this point where I really started to question what the fuck I was even playing. We hear a scream, presumably Camillo's, followed by a disembodied voice saying, and night 3 comes to a close. What a wild ride so far. Let's move on to the night 4 phone call, which thankfully this time is only a single minute long, so I'll just let it play out.
Valentina, where are you?
In Grandma's store, of course. I have to find Camillo.
Are you crazy? It's dangerous. You should stay home. The complaint is already made, and your parents will come back tonight. Leave the search for Camilo to the police.
I can't do it, Cristobal. Don't you understand? I can't sit idly by for the cops to decide to act. They said they can't do anything until several days have passed since the complaint. I don't plan to wait that long.
It's part of their protocol.
I don't care about protocol. What if it's too late? You know what? Forget this. I'll find Camillo by myself.
Night 4 introduces 2 new threats, and thankfully, one of them actually has a new mechanic, so let's just quickly talk about the fucking snooze fest first, that being Bait and Clop. He's just Pandy again, come to your office, flash, boring as fuck, now I'm into the goods. The next threat introduced on this night is called the Armor. The Armor is really fucking cool, but he's so slow that you'll honestly barely encounter him, which is really unfortunate because once again, he's really cool. It'll make its way from the entrance to your office, and this time, instead of just flashing his face, you have to turn on the turntable until he leaves. Now listen, I know I said he was gonna be interesting, but shut the fuck up and trust me, we're not done talking about this game yet, so it'll get a little bit better, I promise. But that's really all Night 4 has going on, so let's move on to Night 5. Night 5's phone call is back up to 5 fucking minutes for no reason. Why is it doing this to me? I want to kill myself. This is torture. Valentina makes a voicemail to Cristobal. She's expressing her deep concern over his and Camillo's disappearance and the supernatural events encountered. She speculates that the antiques and animatronics themselves might be responsible for the thefts and movement within the store, indicating sentient or autonomous behavior in the haunted setting. Suddenly, a sinister voice mocks the player, marking the probable endgame scene or a game over scenario. The antagonist reveals they had to get rid of Cristobal and warns the player they might not escape alive, though she might get to meet him soon. Alright, Night 5 introduces both the best, yet at the same time most frustrating character throughout this entire game. That character is Nico Gavillion, who I'm just going to be calling Nico since that's a hell of a lot easier. Throughout the night, Nico will randomly appear in front of you with a ring around him. The ring will be filled with letters of the alphabet completely scrambled around. You need to click the letters to spell the word Nico using the letters around him. This is a really interesting mechanic, and I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm not gonna question how it makes sense since this game has already made it clear there's weird paranormal shit, so who knows, maybe Nico just doesn't like his own name for some reason. Also, for what purpose did they have to make this guy's head so fucking big? God damn, bro! Of course, the AI of all of the other characters are increased as well, but that goes without saying. But that's all this night really has to offer. After completing it, we hear Valentina send a voicemail to her grandma. The final voicemail to grandma frames most of the events. 5 nights of ongoing terror at the antique store, strange animatronics, and supernatural activity. Valentina insists on meeting in person to reveal the bizarre occurrences, acknowledging the disbelief others might have, but underscoring the urgency and danger. She states before she leaves that she wants to look around the place, noting a door she saw that piqued her interest. And yes, by the way, of course, even after that, there's still a Night 6. And no, there's no boss fight night. That wasn't really a big thing back when this game was made. It's just a harder version of Night 5. Who really cares? What we do care about is the cutscene that takes place after Night 6. This cutscene goes back to the 8-bit style we saw at the beginning of the game. In this minigame, it's revealed that our grandma has been evil the whole time or some stupid bullshit nobody cares about. The part that's actually kind of cool is Valentina gets fucking jumped by grandma and is stuffed inside of a puppet suit left to die. Fantastic. Nice to know all that work we did was for nothing. Anyways, that's all the last Psy 1 has to offer. As I've already said, there's another game that I actually really do want to talk about, so we'll hop into that in just a moment. But I really want to mention how piss poor this game is. Granted, this is probably one of the oldest fan games to come out of this community, so you can give it a little bit of leeway there, but I just can't get over how there are like 15 characters in this game, yet somehow only 4 mechanics. That's just insane to me. Really gives off some FNAF 2 syndrome, which like, yuck. I hate that shit. Anyways, let's jump into a much better game, The Last Psy 2. The Last Psy 2 opens to yet another 8-bit cutscene. We get to see Valentina being put into the suit again, picking up right where we left off. Grandma casts a fucking spell that does a body swap using her own soul, which is just insane. Didn't know Grandma knew the dark arts like that. We then see Coco Bite, yes, the animatronic, talk to Cristobal, who I'm pretty sure is Valentina's cousin. It never says that this is Cristobal, but I literally have no idea who else this could possibly be. And I'm pretty confident that it is indeed Cristobal. Anyways, Coco Bite says he'll let us go so that this is on our back. That's literally what he says word for word. I think what this is supposed to mean is that the vision of Valentina dying will forever be looming over our shoulders. Like we'll hold the weight on our shoulders. I'm guessing that's what that means. I'm not totally sure. Again, originally these games are in Spanish, but he says that next time there will be no witnesses. We then get another cutscene talking about some functionality test. We click on the snow dick a few times and then see the armor, and then this happens? The screen turns red. I don't really know why, but that's what happens, so sure, That's cool, I guess. And with that, we're thrown into this game's version of the phone calls, which thankfully are actually something this time and not just boring dick. During this section, we're put into an old haunted building. We get a call from a girl named Francesca, and she asks us if we have everything ready to get going. She gives us the rundown on where we are and what we need to do each night. Who cares? The name of the place we're at is a theater called Eternos Recuerdos. While on the phone with Fran, we're not able to respond to her for some reason. However, we have a camera in our clothes, which I'm assuming is just like a body cam or something, as this was another line a bit lost in translation, and that we should flicker our light for our responses to what she's saying. We have 5 things with us every single night. Our earphones to listen to Fran, our flashlight, which you may notice in this game calls a lantern. This affects puppets and animatronics. We get a screwdriver for some fucking reason. I really don't know why. A defense device, which I will just be calling the DD. We use this to hack into different systems, whatever that means. And of course, it needs electricity to function. And finally, we have a lighter in case the flashlight isn't enough light. Sure. As we walk through the doors, we enter a U-shaped hallway of the theater. There are 3 paths that we can take. However, on night 1, we only need to go right. Before we get to the office, we have to go upstairs to reach the room every night. We can run up the stairs. However, there are puppets close to us that could attack us if we run. But if we just take longer and walk up the stairs instead, they won't ever attack. So just take your fucking time and walk to avoid the problem. They always say the best way to block an attack is not have to block it in the first place. And that applies here too. Once we get to the office, we're told our goal for the night. But before we talk about that, let's go over all of the tools at our disposal. To start, there are 4 directions we can look. Directly in front of us is our computer, to our right is a window, to our left is the door, and behind us is a bookshelf. We of course have a camera system. However, we need to flash activate them to see the rooms. This will be a lot more important later, so I'll talk more about it then. In this game, there are also a very small amount of cameras, which I'm very grateful for since the last game almost gave me a heart attack with how much it had. Once again, we have infinite power, so we don't have to worry about that either. Our DD, or defense device, is our main source of defense, as the name would suggest. It has its own tab, kind of like the mask from FNAF 2. However, you cannot use it at the same time as your cameras. This thing is a little confusing to use and is really a pain in the ass. We have to use it to hack the PC password and get into the PC for the tasks we have to complete. When an animatronic gets near, a notification will show up on the DD. Pull the DD up and it will give you exact instructions on where to point your flashlight. You don't need the device to be selected on a specific character for this to work. It has all the animatronics and Huggins the clock for some reason, even though I never encountered him during the night sections, which would make me think he's a rare encounter or something like that. And our DD has infinite power, so that's really nice to not have to constantly worry about that. The next tool is our flashlight, which of course we use to deal with the animatronics. There's no power source to it, and this time it doesn't only light up for a fraction of a second and is actually a normal flashlight for the love of fuck. It works in tandem with the DD like I've already mentioned, as the DD will tell you a random part of the animatronic's face you have to shine the flashlight at. It's going to swap between facial features multiple times, so just make sure you're really ready to pay attention. Every animatronic has a different location and a different amount of times you need to flash them. So that means it's time for us to start talking about the threats that this night introduces. The first is Pandy. You remember him, right? Yeah, you remember him. He's cool. He'll make his way to your door. Once he sprints in front of you, you have to flash him 3 different times in 3 different places to make him go away. Again, the DD will tell you which places to do this in, and since it's random each time, I can't really tell you. This is super easy, but of course, it's only night 1, so that's to be expected. The next threat introduced on this night is Cocoa Bite. He's a lot slower moving than Pandy is, but overall he's the same, except he goes to your window. So this whole night will pretty much just be a Five Nights at Candy simulator where you look left, look right, and respond when you need to. Now, all of that was pretty boring, so let's move on to the tasks that we have to complete during this night. Of course, we need to hack into our wicked bitch grandma's PC and upload her files onto our DD. Every night requires a different type of files, and as you can see, there are a fuck ton of files that we have to upload each night. On night 1, we need to steal 90 megabytes of audio files. They're not all in one spot, and you'll actually have to dig through her files to be able to find them, which I actually think is pretty cool. That doesn't sound like a lot, but Grandma's internet is doo-doo ass, so this is gonna take a while. Something really interesting about this game is that if you complete the tasks before the night ends, then the night will end early, which is really nice, and I like a lot. There's no post-night minigame, so we can just jump right into night 2, which does have us go on a side quest before going to the office. Once Once we get to the hall, Fran has us go down the left hall to investigate. We're greeted by a locked door. On the right, a doll and a door. We're told we have to find a key. All we have to do is knock on the locked door, look at the doll, pick up the key that the doll has for some fucking reason. This is like some Ao Oni shit, and enter the room before the doll can straight tickle my shit. Entering the room, we're told to turn our light on and exorcise spirits inhabiting different objects. Really getting into the paranormal stuff in this fan game, and I'm all for it. We have to exorcise 8 groups of objects, and at the top of the screen, we'll see which object has progress, and the progress doesn't increase if we aren't holding our light on them, which is how we exorcise them. Of course, one of these little side quests wouldn't be complete without a threat we have to deal with at the same time. And this time we have to deal with Barney. Barney will randomly show up on either the far left or far right sides of the room. All we have to do is flash him and he'll go away. Simple shit, really, but after that, we can go to the office. The file choice we have to download tonight is text files. You do this the same way you did it the last night. We have 2 new threats introduced on this night, and one of them is already recurring from approximately 37 seconds ago. So let's start by talking about Barney. Barney is just an eye slut. Awesome. We love those in our FNAF games, don't we? Barney is in camera 5, and he will make his way through several phases before attempting to spit inside of you. Literally, all you have to do is stare at him with the flash on, and this will make him go away. Not very hard at all, and you really won't have to do it that often during this night. Plus, you'll get a warning at the bottom of the screen when he's attacking anyways, so it's super easy. The other character introduced on this night is Jimmy. Quite literally the first normal name in this entire series. Jimmy is the character that sits behind you. Throughout the night, he will slowly wind himself up behind you. He'll try to move around a lot in an attempt to kill you, but he also toys with you a little bit. You will have to check behind you very often, and if he ever moves from behind you, he will either go to your left or your right. Figure out which side he went to and flash your light on him, and he'll go back to being behind you, and the cycle will continue. But that's really all we have to talk about, and at this stage in the game, you won't really need a strategy since it's really easy, and I honestly think that finding the files you need to find is a lot more difficult than actually dealing with the threats. All right, night 3, the moment I knew this series needed to be covered in a white video, since this night really shows off how this is not going to be your normal FNAF fan game. It's so much more. During this night, by the time you get to the theater, there's already an animatronic activated and waiting for you. Going into the hallways, we see Cocoa Bite waiting for us, so we run to the auditorium. Once we load into the auditorium, the game turns into a fucking first-person free roam game. What the fuck? This is so cool. I was honestly not expecting this at all, and this section of the game is honestly one of my favorites. In this auditorium with us is Pandy, who will randomly roam around. Our goal is to scan Pandy with our DD for a reason I'm not totally sure on, but of course, we can't let Pandy see us. We will have to follow him around the room, hiding behind chairs so that we're not spotted. This section is in no way difficult, but I do think it's super fucking cool and something that more fan games need. We need sections in games where interesting shit like this happens. It makes the whole process feels so much more enjoyable. I actually have no idea why we need to get data from him, and this honestly just raises a lot more questions. After leaving the auditorium, you get the option to either leave the building or go to the office. Spoiler alert, if you choose to leave, Cocoa Bite will just pack your shit up because he's waiting for you by the entrance. So our only real option is to go into the office and start the night section. The file type on this night we have to upload is image files, and I'm really hoping we don't find Grandma's goon folders while searching. All right, on this night we have 2 new threats introduced, and one of the previous threats gets an upgrade that makes him a lot more aids. So let's start with him. This character in question is our favorite fucker, Barney. He can now attack any camera with a visual cue of his fake form. When this happens, you must find him on the cameras. Fucking just shoot me in my fucking head. I can't remember the last time I didn't have to say that in a white video. Please kill me. Anyways, once you find him there will be 6 letters circling him. This part is very reminiscent of Nico from the first game. Take a look at these letters around Barney. I want you to take a guess what it is we have to spell with these letters. Go ahead, take a look. I'll give you some time. Let's look together. I'm not fucking seeing it. I'm not fucking seeing it. All right, that's enough time. Did you make your guess? Well, I bet you got it wrong because you have to spell no real and he'll finally fuck off. Why do you have to spell no real? And why does this work? I have no idea. Don't get me wrong, I love the new mechanic, but I would also love it if it made sense too. Anyways, the next threat introduced on this night is Barry. Barry attacks your door and he's way more difficult than Pandy and Cocoa Bite are. He only has 3 places to flash him. However, he moves like a fucking crack addict in Florida whenever you flash him. making you have to play aim trainer like when you're in school trying to copy what the teacher wrote on the board, but they're low-key standing in front of it. The whole flashing process with Barry also takes a fuck of a lot longer than both Pandy and Cocoa Bite. So say your prayers, little boy, because if you don't got aim, I hate to break it to you, but you're totally fucked. The final threat introduced on this night is Batenclop. Foul and disgusting name, by the way. He's pretty much the same as Barry, except he attacks your window instead of your door. And holy fucking shit, if you thought Barry spazzed out when you flashed him, you are not ready for Batenclop. Just look at this little fucking sped. He's going insane. I wish you the best of luck if you have bad hand-eye coordination, because this is fucking brutal. Oh my god. All right, now it's time for us to talk about night 4. Tonight, we have to go to the left hallway and investigate because we make terrible decisions instead of leaving. Do you remember the other door on the right side of the hall from last night? Yeah. That's where we're going. You'll have to deal with a little doll before entering the room. All you have to do is hold your light on him, and that's it. Then we can enter the room and the real fun can begin. Once you enter the room, we get greeted to just a bunch of random shit. We can see a Bonnie mask, statues, cum socks, and for some reason, even the rat from Five Nights at Candy's 3 is here, which is pretty interesting. Anywho, of course, there's a threat, and that threat is Jimmy, who I am not excited to see at all. So this part is really fucking confusing, I can't lie, but I do think it's pretty cool. Basically, you'll have to hold your light on Jimmy to keep his ass on the floor. He will jump up and move around the room like Vinny from Five Nights at Candy's 3, so you'll have to be following him around quickly. Once he drops to the floor, another doll will appear, and Fran tells us we have to burn her. This is the real reason we have that lighter. As we burn her, random words will start to appear and slide across the screen. You'll then have to hold the lighter on her and make sure your mouse doesn't touch any of the words, or else the doll will crawl up inside of you like that gerbil you didn't tell anybody about. You fucking disgusting freak. You'll have to repeat this process until you kill the doll, and then we take her with us for something else later. No, it's not sexual. Stop thinking like that. I'll get into why we take the doll with us in a little bit. Let's jump into the night section now. The file type we have to collect this time is video files. Now I'm really hoping we don't find Grandma's Goon folder. This night doesn't introduce new threats, but it does upgrade the 3 threats we talked about last night. Barney now will not appear in camera 5 anymore, instead opting to just be an asshole and spam his spelling lesson attack a lot more, which really just makes my penis invert up inside of my body. Barry and Batenclop get the same upgrade on this night, but it really just makes them completely terrible. They were already pretty bad from how much they moved around, but on this night they can actually move the bookshelf behind you and fucking blow your guts up from the back whenever they feel like it. So now you've got a lot more shit you constantly have to check on, which just makes this night take a whole lot longer to beat. This night is where you'll actually start to need a strategy, since this is where the difficulty really starts to become apparent. Every 2 to 3 files you upload, you should turn around to check on Jimmy. After that, deal with any other immediate threat like Barry or Cocoa Bite. If Barney ever attacks, always deal with him first, since he will be your biggest issue by far. And the other animatronics will give you enough time to deal with him, thankfully. Whenever you deal with any threat, check on Jimmy, then go back to the files. This makes the night take a pretty long time, but it's by far the safest way to play. Now, it's at this point where this game gets really interesting. It consists of 2 different endings, and of course, I'll be going over both, covering the bad ending first. If you get all of the files from nights 1 through 4, instead of loading to the entrance, now you'll be greeted with a skull. He greets you with a somber, "Yo, here we are." That's how I imagine he sounded. Anyways. He states that you have every single piece in your hands, and asks if we're smart enough to solve the small puzzle. I personally am retarded and have no idea what he's talking about, but if you say no or say yes and get the puzzle wrong, then you'll get to proceed to the bad ending, and he'll tell us that it's sad that our fate was decided, which really doesn't give me a good feeling at all. Loading into the entrance, we're told to go to the auditorium to investigate. Upon arriving, we see Huggins in the middle of the aisle. Literally just go left or right and he won't kill you. No problem. Making our way to the stage, we see an animatronic we don't know the name of, but it appears to be aggravated by our presence. We ignore it and leave for the office, only to find out that that very animatronic is following us. Getting inside of the office, the night begins, and at exactly 15 seconds, we're greeted to our DD bugging the fuck out and the computer being turned into a console, as the name on our DD changes to Rover. And that's a perfect segue into the only threat present on this night, Rover Lee. Rover Lee is obviously a boss fight character, with mechanics that were shown to us way back at the beginning of the game. Let's go over the computer first, since that will be the main way we deal with Rover. The computer has the text Rover Lee lockdown core. If you type help, you'll see 3 commands. CLS will clear the text on the screen, out will expel the souls for 15 seconds, I'll go over what that means in just a minute, and move X will move Rover towards a camera, so you can just replace the X with the name of the camera. When you use the out command, it takes between 25 and 35 seconds at random until the souls get expelled. Again, I'll get back to that in a second. The computer has a random chance to have an error, because RNG needs to be in every FNAF game for it to be interesting. The error will slow any expulsion, but will not cancel out the already expelled souls. All you have to do is click and hold a bar at the bottom of the monitor and you'll be chilling to get rid of it. Oh yeah, and you can only use the move command if Rover has all of the souls expelled. Now let's talk about Rover Lee, the actual boss. He has 5 different attacks that he can use, and I'm not gonna lie, some of them require the best hand-eye coordination I've ever seen in my life. His first attack is just him being an eye slut for a majority of the night. You have to watch him on camera 1A to stall him, but if he moves, he will never move back unless you specifically use the move command. His second attack, he'll have him reach your office, and if he does, you'll have to do a standoff against him. You will get a prompt saying that Rover is near your door. You have to look at the door with your DD up and then play some Five Nights at Candy's 3 type shit, tracking his face like this is aim labs. He'll jump from one side of your office to another, to behind the computer, to in your urethra, a whole bunch of fun shit. You need to have insane reflexes because you cannot afford to mess up for even a second. Honestly, it's best to just make sure he never reaches your office by using the move commands and stalling him, because this attack can quite literally last for the entire night. It's fucking brutal. Attacks 3 and 4 are pretty much the same, so I'll talk about them at the same time. Rover is possessed by 2 different souls, and each of them can attack you. The blue soul can only attack your door, and the orange soul can only attack your window. This is where your DD really comes into play. You have to tune the color frequency of your DD to match the color of the soul that is attacking you. That doesn't make any fucking sense, but it pleases the demons, so please the demons I will do to make them hop up off me. His 5th and final attack has both of the souls attack you from behind. When this happens, you have to turn around and face a Rover-like ghost. You need to look him in the eyes like your girlfriend asks you to do, but you have autism, so it makes it really hard, and use the DD to match the color frequency 3 times instead of just 1. Sometimes the color can change, and sometimes it'll stay the same, which is obviously the option we'd want because that's easier. The strategy for this night is generally easy, but acting like this night doesn't require more skill than most of the other Final Nights I've talked about on this channel would be an understatement. The moment the night starts, you'll want to immediately type out. Once this happens, stare at Rover until you need to deal with the souls or fix the console. Rinse and repeat until the end of the night. And honestly, if Rover ever gets into your office, just restart. Because I promise you, you're not going to survive that fight once he's in. You just won't. If you can survive all the way until 6 a.m., Rover Lee will enter your office and fucking kill you. Spotting that you've been controlling them from the computer, they are rightfully pissed the fuck off. A cutscene plays of Rover confronting Grandma, calling her daughter, saying that she lied to them, and complains a bunch like a woman. Then Rover fucking evaporates Cocoa Bite and Pandy and then RKOs the shit out of Grandma. Actually a batshit crazy insane ending that I personally love. But we can't forget that all of that was just the bad ending. We still have the good ending to talk about. Before we start talking about the good ending, we need to talk about the files we've been collecting throughout the game. I'll go over them in detail a bit later, but that's going to take a really long fucking time. So instead, I'll just give you the quick rundown summary now. Omegna, the grandma, had a sister named Sani. Their mom died and their dad became an alcoholic. They ran away after getting beat, only to be brought in by an old lady. Sani steals some shit and Omegna slaps her for doing so. Sani runs away and is never seen again. It was never Omegna that was doing all the shit we've been going through. Apparently it was Sani. Again, that's a very, very rough outline of these files. I'll do a deep dive in a few minutes. Don't you worry your pretty little head off. Yeah, guys, my favorite part about eating a Reese's cup is peeling the panties off. You're gonna leave that in, aren't you, editor? Asshole. Anyways, now we can talk about the good ending. Back to the skull, the puzzle he asks is, what trick did you fall for? There will then be letters for you to spell with, and you need to spell the word twins. These twins, I'm imagining, is in reference to the sisters. He then says that everybody fell for that, and then asks their names, which you will then need to input Omegna and Sani. He will then state that there is something more important than the names. He asks us which one is the witch, and you need to answer Sani. Bars, by the way, right there. Sani was the one behind it all along. She fooled everyone and made Omegna go to prison for a crime she never committed. She made you think our family betrayed us. The skull then asks, who of them are in jail? Which of course we know is Omegna. So that's what you have to answer. Yes, by the way, this section is incredibly convoluted. I'm aware, just stay with me for a little bit longer. Finally, the skull says we know what we have to do and wishes us good luck. As we load into the entrance, we're told that we talked about a hidden room inside of the building. Fran is worried a bit, but trusts us and helps us by luring whatever is inside out. We're told to hide in the utility closet from way back in night 2. Entering the room, we're met with Barney. He looks very beaten up and broken, which is why he wasn't attacking on night 4 in camera 5. That makes sense now, and I honestly think it's a really small but cool reveal. He says the witch is who hurt him, the same person who took him back to life, giving him a new life. He says that the state he is in is the cost of the ones who made her angry. And I'm gonna be so honest, I have no idea what the fuck that means. I'm nowhere near smart enough to comprehend it, so hopefully you guys can. He says that nobody here will let us leave, not even the witch. He says to give up and turn ourselves in, and how he doesn't regret anything he did. He just wanted to see the kids smile. Now, I really have no idea why the fuck he added in that last line. Very fucking weird, and I'm just gonna choose to move past it. We leave and are told by Fran that the bookshelf is open and it's clear to go in. Going through it, we find another staircase that leads to the home, the name of the place the animatronics go when they aren't active. Upon arrival, we notice that we have to unscrew a case to acquire a key. However, this is of course not going to be as easy as it sounds. During this section, we have two of the most fucking aggressive characters I've ever seen in my entire life. It is insane. But before we talk about them, let's go into the layout of this section. Looking to your left, you'll notice the doll you picked up from night 4. Her name is Jenny, and she is how you deal with both of these threats. But holy fucking shit, the hitbox on this goddamn doll head is fucking ass. So fucking tiny for no goddamn reason, fuck! You must drag Jenny's head to make her look at either of the two hallways to the room we're in. The left hall has Bait and Clop, and the right hall has Barry. Now, when I tell you guys that these two are aggressive, I mean it. Holy shit, the goal of this night is to just slowly unscrew 4 screws, but it takes so fucking long because these two will quite literally be attacking you every 2 seconds. And that's not an exaggeration. Just look at the screen right now and tell me this doesn't look fucking insane. Every time you successfully turn Jenny's head towards them and flash them to make them go away, they seriously have a chance to show up again immediately afterwards, making this section take fucking minutes and minutes longer than it would ever need to. And one of the best parts is that they can both attack you at the exact same time. That's just fucking perfection. I hate it here. Fuck! This means you literally have a chance, and a pretty likely chance at that, to encounter them 4 times in a row. You are going to make so little progress unscrewing these screws, it's ridiculous. However, once you manage to unscrew everything and grab the key we need, we go back upstairs and start the night. During hours 0 through 3 of the 5th night is all well and good, just the normal characters like we're used to. Except with one small tweak that they turned on the fucking gas this night because holy shit, it's like seriously quadrupled the difficulty of night 4. It is fucking insanely hard. All of that is well and good, but once you hit 3 a.m., Rover Lee activates and it's pretty much just night 5 from the bad ending. So just use the same strategy we used then and we'll be golden. No problem at all. Just for the love of fuck, don't let him get in your office because that minigame is more impossible than Shadow, Rat, and Cat all challenges, I swear to God. Once you reach 6 a.m., Fran tells us she's sorry and that everything is ready for us. She also mentions to check the safe that's been in our office this entire game. Inside, we see the doll Valentina is possessing, which I actually think is really fucking cool. This part honestly reminds me a lot of the ending of Saw 2, which, quick little spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen the Saw movies and really want to, It reminds me of the part at the end of Saw 2 where they reveal that the main character's kid has been stuck inside of a safe in the room they were in the entire time. It's so fucking cool, I love it. We grab Valentina and burn the building down as we leave. We then see a cutscene with Sanny. She's obviously pissed as fuck and is about to start her villain arc. She says she won't let herself be caught and that nobody is going to be happy, which just screams sequel right in my little gamer ears. But that is all the good ending has to offer. And now, sadly for me, I have to fulfill a promise I made a few minutes ago and talk about the files we collected, which is really just going into the extras and doing a fuck ton of reading. So let's just get all that bullshit over with. Let's start with the audio files. They consist of our great-grandfather's music, the sound of the curse Sanny uses, and Camillo's ghost, which is pretty fucked up. You have the ability to recreate the memories from these files, and doing so gives you an 8-bit minigame to play around in. The audio memory has us play as Omegna as a child as we see her father wallow in despair. She then leaves to go to her room and sleep, giving her dad some space. By the way, all of these minigames are going to piece together that summary I gave you before the good ending, so if it sounds like I'm repeating myself, it's pretty much because I am. The text files are a bunch of newspapers with a fuck ton of words. Like, oh my god, so many goddamn words, I really don't want to read them all, but fuck me, I'm gonna do it for the video. I'll have the editor put Subway Surfers or some shit on the screen, and for those of you that don't care about what these newspapers say, you can skip to the time on your screen right here to just learn about the minigame we'll be talking about directly after. Newspaper 1. Mysterious serial thefts of animatronic dolls continue to baffle the city. Friday, June 12th, 2015. All the missing animatronics belonged to large restaurant chains or family-run establishments with locations in the region. Last Thursday, June 11th, a fourth animatronic figure was reported missing in the city, this time from the Animagic's Burger Place, restaurant located on the outskirts of Santiago. The figure in question is Barry, a shark that performs magic tricks for the audience, and a companion to another of the missing animatronics. The establishment has already been closed for about a month due to the disappearance of another of its figures and the restaurant's mascot, Coco Bite. The security cameras had been damaged since the previous incident, so no footage was found of how the figure disappeared. With this incident, the total number of disappearances in just 2 months has reached 4. Previous disappearances included Pandy, whose original Chinese name is Tao, Batenclop, the animatronic from Batenclop's Terror House, and the aforementioned Coco Bite from Animagic Burger Place. The prosecutor's office claims to have no idea who is responsible for these thefts, nor their motive. We don't know what whoever is stealing these animatronics might want. The investigation hasn't yielded anything yet, stated PDI officer Diego Alarcon. In our opinion, the most likely scenario is that these thieves want to sell the pieces, but we can't confirm anything. There are more valuable items inside, so it's surprising they didn't take them. The officer also reported that the investigation is ongoing and that they will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this. On the other hand, the restaurant CEO stated that it will have to remain closed until the robot is recovered. We are still considering ordering a replacement from the manufacturer, but since this is the second theft we've experienced, we fear they'll come back for a third. Perhaps the best course of action is to remain closed for a while longer, he declared. Newspaper 2. Missing cousins found in old antique shop belonging to their grandmother, January 15th, 2012. 2 of the victims were found with injuries, while the youngest was found dead. Yesterday morning, Sunday, January 14th, the body of a young man identified as Camilo Torres was finally found. He had disappeared early Thursday morning from the shop known as Omegna Antiques, owned by his grandmother. His 2 other grandchildren were also found with him. Valentina Torres, Camilo's sister, who is currently in a coma at the Central Hospital, and Cristobal Valdebenito, a first corporal of the Carabineros, Chilean police force, who had several minor injuries. As soon as they were found, the survivors were taken to the hospital. Valdebenito has not yet agreed to comment on what happened there, stating that he first needs to speak with his superiors about the matter. Regarding Valentina Torres' condition, the attending physician, Joaquin Soto, stated that the reasons for her unconsciousness are still unknown. Tests indicate that there is brain activity. Very low, but it is there. However, the young woman has no head injuries that could explain her unconsciousness. It's a very strange case, but we are continuing to examine her, the doctor stated. Regarding Camilo Torres, according to the investigative police, PDI, the cause of death was asphyxiation by strangulation. The minor's neck showed very noticeable marks. Both his neck and part of his spine, as well as his trachea, are, in the words of prosecutor Leonardo Altamirano, destroyed. Asphyxiation of that level is very difficult to achieve. An ordinary human could not do it, he stated. In fact, it almost looks like as if his neck had been crushed by heavy metal machinery. but this doesn't quite fit considering the finger-like marks left on his neck. The PDI also stated that the investigation is not over yet, and that, although with the current leads it is difficult to reach a conclusion, they will do everything possible to get to the bottom of this and bring justice to the guilty parties. Newspaper 3. Security footage from Omegna Antiques shows the owner attacking her granddaughter, January 16th, 2012. During the investigation into the murder of the 20-year-old at the Omegna Antiques shop, police found a recording of one of the owner's computers. The recording shows the owner ordering a group of animatronic robots to kill Valentina Torres, her own granddaughter. The video from the shop's security camera network shows a young woman and her grandmother, Mrs. Omegna, the latter apparently accompanied by animatronic robots from various well-known entertainment chains, which she kept in her shop. In the recordings, she can be heard ordering the robots to get rid of her, at which point the machines step forward and begin attacking the young woman. We don't know how she could have made them work or how she could have made them obey her, stated Leonardo Altamirano, the prosecutor in charge of the case. We believe the video may be some kind of fabrication, but all of the evidence seems to indicate that this is not the case. According to the several owners of the entertainment chains who once owned those robots, those models had been discontinued for almost 2 decades and had mostly been sold at auctions long ago, which is how they are assumed to have eventually ended up in Omegna's store. For this part, Corporal Cristobal Valdebenito, one of the victims of the cousin of Valentina and her deceased brother, Camilo, stated that he had noticed his grandmother acting strangely in recent weeks, and he also identified her as the kidnapper during the days he was missing. It was a dark, cold, and old room. I could see her there. She didn't say anything significant. She was the one who had me trapped. This morning, the woman was arrested by the Carabineros, Chilean police, and will remain in custody while her connection to the incident is investigated. Holy fuck, that was a lot. But let's move on to the minigame. In this minigame, Omegna checks on her dad in the living room only to see that he's passed out drunk as fuck on the couch. She leaves to go reminisce in the kitchen, she checks the fridge only to see there's no food inside, and she wonders when Sandy will come home from her job. The image files consists of some bottles, a picture of Barney, and whatever the fuck this shit is right here. I literally have no idea what else this could be. My only guess is that the potion grants life, maybe, judging from the conversation we had with Barney, and then the Barney picture is just Barney being destroyed in the closet or getting a new life. I have no idea. And then the question mark image, bro, I'm scratching my head and my balls. You guys tell me what the fuck this is supposed to mean, bro. I've got no idea. The memory for the images has Omegna's dad drunk and yelling at her. He beats the shit out of her while she begs him to stop. He yells at her and tries to drink more, only to notice the bottle's empty. He shatters the bottle on the wall and tells Omegna that he's going to go get more. He tells them that when he gets back, he doesn't want to see either of them and that they need to go to bed now. Sandy shows up to comfort Omegna. Omegna confronts her, saying that they will not be hurt by him again. And then they run away from home together. This is probably one of the more disturbing cutscenes from this game, for obvious reasons. As far as the videos go, they're all just Pandy, Batenclop, and Cocoa Bite jittering in their new bodies. But this memory is a hell of a lot longer. Omegna and Sandy are arguing about Sandy stealing money. Sandy is thinking like a survivalist, but Omegna is thinking like a pacifist, explaining that she could just work. Sandy states that no one saw her and that she was poorer than a rat. Omegna shoots back that she shouldn't talk about herself like that and that she should be grateful that she took them in. Sandy states that the money was not entirely for herself, saying that she will buy things to help her. Omegna states that she wouldn't even accept the money, yet she should give back what she has left. Sandy states that she will not and will put the money to good use. Omegna snaps, stating that this is the last straw. She mentions that Sandy comes home late, skips school, and doesn't follow instructions. Sandy turns away, but Omegna puts her hands on her to make Sandy look at her again. Sandy states to get her hands off of her, but Omegna demands Sandy to follow her orders. Sandy snaps back, stating that Omegna isn't her mom. Omegna slaps Sandy, she apologizes, but Sandy runs away, stating that she hates Omegna and to stop bothering her. They have never seen each other again since that day. So there you go! I told you I'd cover it in more detail. Are you proud of me? Please say yes, because I've been writing the script for no joke the last 6 hours. I'm fucking dying over here. 2 more things before we wrap up. The first is this weird minigame called Pandy POV. It's just some point and click bullshit and seriously provides no lore to the story whatsoever, just a time waster. And the final thing is what happens after you beat 720 mode, which I obviously didn't fucking do because I'm not a maniac. After you complete it, you get this short cutscene. Yes, it's in Spanish. I don't give a fuck. Hop off my dick and read the subtitles.
Sigues teniendo pesadillas, ¿eh? Tranquilo. Pasaste por mucho estrés durante esas noches. Es normal. y lo sabes. Poco a poco estas se irán. Todo está bien ahora.
So there we go, a teaser for yet another game to come, and it looks like there's gonna be a character with a cane, so maybe it'll be me, who fucking knows. But as far as I'm aware, that's all the last Psy has to offer. Overall, I think this game has one of the most interesting and unique stories I've ever seen come out of a FNAF game before. Sure, I do think the first game is complete ass, but the second game really makes up for it. It looks fucking amazing, the gameplay is actually interesting, albeit incredibly difficult at times, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who wants a fun challenge. If there's one thing about the Five Nights at Freddy's lore that I never liked, it was the fact that the games expected you to be able to connect the dots of the story, even though Scott Cawthon himself admitted that he never really knew where it was going. And it's because of that we have a game series with a lore so broken and confusing that nobody really knows what's going on. However, some fan game devs like to take it upon themselves to connect those dots for us and throw their own unique spin on the games. And the game we'll be talking about today is no different. The game we're going to be looking at is called Five Nights at Freddy's: The Flip Side, and I honestly feel like it explains some of the official game's lore's biggest plot holes perfectly, while also offering an incredibly fun gameplay loop. Grab a snack and get ready as we dive into the world of FNAF: The Flip Side.
Hello, Frank? It's me, Henry. Listen, I know you don't work with us anymore, but I really need some help. And I wasn't sure who else to call. We're supposed to test some prototypes for a client. But you know how things are at MCM these days. We're overloaded with projects. If you're available, could you come to Fredbear's? The testing will take place there. I'll make sure they leave the front door open for you. Once you get there, give me a call. There should be a phone in the storage room. Oh, and before you ask, yes, I'll make sure you'll be paid handsomely for this. All right, Frank, I'll be waiting for you.
So there we go. We've got our motive for almost dying for the next 6 nights, and FNAF: The Flip Side finally begins. There was a lot of hype for this game, so I'm ready to get right into it. We open to a free roam section of the game where we're free to wander around pretty much the entire building we're about to sit our hairy, smelly, sweaty, unwashed rumps in for the next 6 days. If we walk into the backstage area, we'll get access to something this game calls the Hand. This can be used to listen to audio logs that get added every night, so we should make sure we're always going to check on them. The audio log on night 1 goes as follows.
Come on, turn on. Oh my god. Finally. This is the 5th time I've been called out here. Last week we got these new hand terminals from MCM. William had me install one backstage. I told him very clearly that thing pulls nearly 80% load if it's not on a dedicated circuit. Did we upgrade the wiring? No. Now the diner loses power 10 times a day, and somehow it's my fault. They keep telling me to replace the diodes in the fuse box. It's not the damn diodes. But he won't listen. He never listens. He just keeps telling me to fix it. You can't fix stupidity, William. It's failing the exact same way it's supposed to. Yeah, that's it. End log.
I'm on the same page as Daniel here. This is the exact type of bullshit you would expect a stupid, out-of-touch old boss to say to you. Moving on, there are also some collectibles we're told to find. If you couldn't guess, these are needed for the true ending of the game, so make sure you're picking them up unless you want the bad ending for some reason. I would tell you where these bobbleheads are located, however, it seems to be completely random. There was one time it was on the stage, but apparently that was just a bug and it wasn't supposed to happen. So I really have no idea. Just go find them. There's no threats during these sections, so you can take all the time you need. All right, with that out of the way, we can finally jump right into the night sections. And what's a better thing to start talking about aside from the tools at our disposal, like I also like to do at the beginning of these videos. I'm just gonna talk about the camera system because that's literally all that's relevant on this night. It's a camera system, that's really it. The buttons are on the right side of the screen instead of being on a map, so that's pretty cool, I suppose. And on one of the cameras, you can see a window to the street where you can actually watch cars pass by, which I do think is super cool. Really puts you into the immersion that, yes, this is a real place and there are people around. It's a really good way of making you feel more alone, knowing there are people outside of the building who could help you, yet Nobody is going to. It's a super creepy thing to think about. If we look at the stage, we can see that the animatronics seem to be characters you can see in the final section of Secret of the Mimic, which I do think is actually super cool. I have yet to see a game that uses those specific characters together, so this could be fun. Oh yeah, I should also probably mention that this game is made by Toaster Dev, the same guy that made FNAF Legacy, and it was also worked on a bunch by Weirdo Speed, another very popular FNAF YouTuber and game dev, so you already know this game is about to be crazy. Now, moving on to the first threat this game and night introduces, that being Fredbear 2.0. I'm just gonna call him Fredbear since that's a lot less typing. Fredbear does not have a lot of places to go before reaching your office. He starts in camera 6 before moving to camera 8, -1. No, I'm not saying it. Fuck you. Then he goes to camera 5, which if you're not looking at your camera while he goes from 7 to 5, you can actually see him walking across the doorway to your office, which is just so fucking cool. I love it when games do shit like this. Holy fuck, I'm gonna skeet everywhere. Anyways, from there he will walk back across the doorway and appear to the left of you. From here, you will enter a quick time minigame that you will need to complete to save your life. This is explained as like some programming that you're doing to Fredbear or something. I don't really know. We don't even lay our hands on him. You will have to use WASD for this minigame. When he enters your office, a timer will appear along with one of the letters. You will have to press through multiple of the letters before the timer runs out or he eats your butt. If you ever mess up a key press, you don't die immediately, but the timer will drop by a few seconds, making it all the more likely it'll eat your butt. But if you can defend yourself from him, he'll teleport back to camera 6 and the cycle will repeat itself. I guess I should also mention that when he's making his way to your office, your cameras will turn yellow with a message telling you that Fredbear is coming. But you shouldn't really need that since you'll be able to hear his loud ass clanker feet making their way towards you. But with that, this night is easy and we can move on to the first post-night minigame. This post-night minigame is very annoying, I can't even lie, and for a reason that really shouldn't even be apparent, yet apparent it is. The goal of this minigame is to repair Fredbear. The way we do so is both easy, yet doesn't really make any sense. We'll have to pull up our maintenance monitor and drag several shapes into their respective places. You know that square hole game everybody had as a kid? Yeah, it's that. Why the fuck does this fix Fredbear? I literally have no idea at all. Every time you successfully drag a shape, your progress will increase by 2%. Get it to 100 and you complete this minigame. However, you may have noticed I haven't complained about anything yet, which just can't be the case. Fredbear will randomly attack you throughout this minigame. Dealing with him is simple. When he attacks, he automatically pulls your monitor down, and all you have to do is quickly boop his nose to reset him. Apparently, his nose is a button that resets his facial recognition. Sure, buddy, just say you took inspiration from FNAF shitpost. It's okay to admit it. I know, I'm a genius. Now, that's not a problem. No. The problem is these stupid fucking shapes. You would think that the shape at the top that you have to drag would change each time you drag the shape and drop it where it needs to go. But no, that would make too much sense. Instead, what really happens is that the shape will randomly change every 1.5 seconds, regardless of whether you're holding it or not. So you could be just about to drop the square into the square hole, and all of a sudden it turns into a fucking rhombicosydodecahedron at the last second, and now you lose. And what does losing mean? Well, it drops your progress by 20%, and each shape only gives you 2%. Are you fucking me in my dick hole right now? You've got to be kidding me. That's so rape. Oh yeah, and since I'm saying semi-offensive words, I might as well add another one to the list. I saw a guy in my comments recently who timestamped the first time I said the dreaded R word in my video. My guess is they're doing this in a piss-poor attempt to be passive-aggressive, so here, this one's just for you, retard. Moving on to night 2. Night 2 begins with a free roam section. Of course, we could just start the night, but why do that when we could listen to an audio log instead? Yippee!
Hello? Is this thing on? Finally! I need to get this on record, because if I don't, I'm going to lose my mind. I've had to clean out the fridge in the kitchen again. This is the 5th time this week. The 5th! Isn't this supposed to be the janitor's responsibility, or maintenance, or literally anyone who isn't the head chef? Because last I checked, I was hired to cook food. Yet here I am wondering how this place is still legally allowed to operate. And the fridge? Oh my god, the fridge. I don't even know where they dug this thing up, but it's like it was designed to ruin food. Milk spoils in 2 days. It's not even refrigeration. It's practically accelerated decomposition. I swear it'd be safer leaving the food out on the counter. And don't even get me started on management. William especially. Every time I bring this up, he waves off like it's nothing. We'll look into it. Yeah, sure. You've been looking into it for months. We've poisoned what? 5 customers because of it? 5! Yeah, I can't do it anymore. I quit.
Once again, just adding to the conclusion that William is an out-of-touch boss. Who would have thought? It's not like he does really questionable weird shit like all the time. That would be absurd. Oh yeah, grab a bobblehead wherever the fuck it is, and we can jump into the night section. Night 2 introduces one new threat, that being Spring Bonnie 2.0, who, of course, I will just be calling Spring Bonnie since that's easier. And Spring Bonnie also isn't too big of an issue, but could easily become a problem if you let him get out of hand. Occasionally, Bonnie will move into what I will call his attack mode. When he enters attack mode, he will make a sound cue and move from camera 6 to camera 8, then to 7, followed by 6, and finally into camera 3. From there, he'll just fucking kill you. While you can't put Bonnie back on stage, you can move him away from you, and how you do so is probably exactly what you expected. Audio lures. Only certain cameras in the building actually have places that can use audio, and thankfully, unlike most games that have audio lures, this one doesn't have a certain amount, and you can spam them as much as you'd like. As you would expect, drag Bonnie around the cameras with this audio lure to prevent him from going cave diving in your ass and mining the rock hard diamond crusty shit trapped between your buns because you don't wipe properly. And he really shouldn't be a problem. Again, you can't get him back on stage, but you can pretty easily keep him in camera 8. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing else new is added on this night, and Bonnie doesn't add too much of an issue in combination with Freddy. However, there is one more thing I want to mention before moving on. At 5 a.m. every night, the AI of all active animatronics will increase. Just a fun way of saying fuck you in the last minute of the night. Amazing. On to the Night 2 post-night minigame, which is nowhere near as frustrating as the first. This time we're fixing Spring Bonnie, and the pattern for completing it is the same. The only difference is the minigame itself on the monitor, and how to deal with Bonnie. Dealing with him is simple. When he attacks, just use the speaker to play music and he'll calm down. Now for the minigame, which I actually really like. A small rectangle will bounce back and forth across the screen. In the center of the screen, you'll see a little bar. As the moving rectangle passes over the bar, you'll have to press space. For each successful press you make, you'll gain 2 to 4% progress at random, and the rectangle will start moving a little faster. If you ever miss a press, you'll only lose 5% power, so clearly they were out of their fucking minds when they designed the first minigame, but who knows. Anyways, one more thing I should mention is that after each minigame, we get a number for a code that we can type into the hand unit during the free roam sections. So yeah, just make sure you're writing those down. Night 3 once again starts with a free roam section, so let's grab that random bobblehead and listen to the audio log.
Okay, it's recording. Quick note for management, since apparently nobody believes me. That little vacuum robot we got from MCM, the Cleanovac, yeah, it's not really helping. Every party, some kid grabs it and shoves it somewhere disgusting. Trash cans, sinks. Today, it was in the toilet. The toilet! I'm the one who fishes it out with gloves, and I'm the one who has to clean it, dry it, fix it. Every single time. It's a vacuum, not a toy. If I find it in the toilet one more time, I'm not saving it. I'm letting it die, and I'm telling William it was water damage. Yeah, that's all. Bye.
In case you guys were interested and couldn't tell, that character was played by me, and the name they gave that character is incredibly clever, being a triple entendre. Love you guys. Anyways, yeah, I find it funny how I talk about how much I hate kids in my videos, and then I get to play a character in a game who yells at kids. Perfect for me. Let's move on to the night section. Night 3 introduces one new threat, that being Monty, who apparently wasn't supposed to be able to move, but yet he does, so fucking awesome. I just love that so much. Monty's pretty easy overall, and he also introduces a new mechanic, that being the curtain directly in front of you, which you are able to hold closed. This will obviously be how you defend yourself from him. When Monty goes into attack mode, he will make a loud sound cue and move into camera 3. Inside of camera 3, he will move through 3 phases like Foxy before moving to your doorway. Something very weird about him is, unlike other characters, where when they move in the cameras briefly flicker to cover up the movement, Monty's movements don't do this, so you just kind of awkwardly watch him snap into place, which just feels really weird. Once Monty jumps in front of your doorway, just hold the curtain closed until he leaves. Henry, who, by the way, is the guy on the phone at the beginning of each night, tells us that we should really be keeping an eye on him once he leaves the stage, which would make me think that, like Foxy, watching him on the cameras will stall him. However, as you'll find out, it actually doesn't do that at all. Monty doesn't make the night a whole lot more stressful quite yet, as when Monty enters your doorway, he makes a really obvious sound cue, so you don't really need to watch him on the cameras at all. The best thing to do at this point is sit on camera 8 to watch for Bonnie, and only ever pull down the monitor when getting attacked by Monty or Fredbear. Both Fredbear and Monty can attack you at the same time, but luckily the devs thought of this and made it not complete RNG aids, because if Fredbear attacks while Monty is at the curtain, then the curtains won't close and you'll be safe to deal with Fredbear. And if Monty arrives during Fredbear's attack, then you can quickly close the curtains and they'll stay closed throughout the attacks. Thank you so much, you two. I could give you a kiss on the mouth for real. Anyways, time to move on to the post-night 3 minigame. And of course, with Monty being introduced, he is who we're fixing on this night. Once again, the only changes are the minigame and how to defend yourself. On the bottom shelf in the room we're in, there will be a mask. And surprise, surprise, that's what you put on when Monty starts dworking in your face. The minigame is honestly really disappointing, as it's just the Funtime Freddy minigame from Sister Location, except a million times less fucking aids. Just hold the buttons to increase the percentage until you beat the night. Congrats, this one was boring as fuck. Let's move on to night 4. Free roam time! Grab a bobblehead and let's take a listen.
Hello? Okay, I think it's working. These hand terminals are so buggy. So I just started working here at Fredbear's, first day and all that. And honestly, it's kinda nice. It's cozy even. Place has that old school charm, It smells like pizza grease and cheap cleaner, but in a weird way it works. Only one tiny issue. Who the hell picked the animatronic names? Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. Like, seriously, that's what we're going with? Why Spring Bonnie and then just Fredbear? Why isn't it Spring Bear? Or Spring Freddy? Or literally anything else that matches? It sounds like 2 completely different people named them on opposite sides of the room, and nobody bothered to discuss it further. Hey, what should we call the rabbit? Spring Bunny? Cool. And the bear? Fredbear. It makes 0 sense. And it bugs me. Way more than it should. I can't explain why. Every time I say the names out loud, it just sounds like the branding department gave up halfway through. That's about it. See ya.
Honestly, bro, reasonable crash out. Seems like the type of random shit I would complain about for filler in one of these videos, so I appreciate you doing it for me. Oh yeah, and for some reason we get another log on this night too.
Is this thing on? Yeah? Okay, good. I couldn't find a complaint box anywhere, so I figure this is the only way those schmucks at corporate might actually listen. I got hired to handle plumbing and a few other bits of general maintenance around the joint roughly, 5 to 6 months ago. Might I say you people suck at maintaining a building. I can't walk 2 steps in this place without finding a new leak I gotta fix. Leaky pipes, leaky roof, leaky suits. Oh, wait. I'm not supposed to talk about that. Wait, hold on. How come this place is held together with scotch tape and prayers, yet somehow you have enough budget to pay me 16 crap loads to keep my yap shut about what I saw in the back room? You people disgust me, by the way. Oh, I guess I'm not one to talk. I took your blood money, after all. And you ain't getting it back. My money now, suckers! Maybe having all that on the record ain't the smartest idea. How do I delete this? Maybe this button.
So, this is probably my favorite log throughout the entire game. Just so goofy, yet explains some very interesting information. Probably the most important info we've got so far throughout the entire game. I also love the ending of the tape. It's just the right amount of retarded to make me giggle a little bit. Anyways, on to the night section. I sure hope the most enraging character of all time doesn't activate. Spoiler alert, the most enraging character of all time activates. Night 4 introduces a character named Bub. Once Bub moves, he will enter either camera 4 or camera 5. Something about these cameras you'll notice is that you can close vents on these cameras. From what Henry explains in the phone calls, it sounds like Edwin may have specifically designed Bub to crawl into vents for a currently unknown reason. Now, all you have to do for Bub sounds pretty easy. When he attacks, he makes a sound cue in your left or right ear. All you have to do is close the respective vent on that side of the cameras and he won't be able to get to you. Luckily, if you're being attacked by Monty or Fredbear, Bub will not be able to move. Period. These devs had every opportunity to make Bub the most frustrating character from any FNAF game ever, and they didn't do it. And I'm forever grateful for that. I would literally eat the lice out of their hair if they had lice. Now, I said Bub was frustrating, but why is that the case? He doesn't sound too bad. Well, where it comes from is just his sheer speed, as Bub is incredibly fast and will bounce between both vent rooms and crawl into the vents at actual light speed. It's insane how much hops this guy has. It's actually pretty impressive. As long as you're keeping an eye on him, this night isn't too much different. Of course, this brings up the problem of not being able to watch Bonnie, but overall, with enough practice, this night really shouldn't be too bad. On to the post-night minigame, and this one is by far more complex than any other minigame we've seen so far. Doesn't really mean it's hard per se, but there is a lot more focusing you have to do. The way you complete this minigame is another boring hold the button minigame until you reach 100%. However, what you need to do alongside that is where this one gets interesting. When Bub attacks you, all you have to do is shock him, as during this night you actually get the ability to do that. You also get access to an additional monitor this time around that acts kind of like a FNAF 3 repair panel. In it, you have to keep Bub's integrity charged and continuously charge your shock button or else it won't work. The lower Bub's integrity is, the more often he'll attack, and of course the more often he attacks, the less power your shocker is going to have. The best strategy I found was every 10% of progress I made, charge the generator and shocker a little bit. And of course, deal with Bub whenever he decides to have a seizure directly in front of you. But with that, we get another piece of the code and we can move on to Night 5. Of course, Night 5 starts with a free roam section, so let's listen to that audio log.
Hi, I'm John Fazbear. If you're listening to this log, that means that a piece of licensed Fazbear Entertainment art made by you isn't up to our company standard. Don't fret, however. As the lead director of the marketing department here at Fredbear's, my job is to teach and guide you through the process of making promotional material that is suitable for our wonderful customers. Give me a moment.
Samantha, where is my coffee, goddammit? I asked you 15 minutes ago. What do I pay you for, woman?
Sorry about that. We're gonna have to cut that one out. As I was saying, the purpose of this log series is to help in making your art pieces compliant with our company values. There's my coffee. Thank you so much, Samantha. You truly are the backbone of this company. Sorry, fellas. She's married to Fazbear Entertainment. Where was I? Right. Refusal or failure to comply with our strict company marketing policy will result in job termination, military discharge, legal action, loss of company benefits, impounding of vehicle, loss of hearing, degenerative bone disease, beheading.
Yelling over coffee is crazy, bro. Moving on, there is actually a final audio log from William Afton. However, as you can probably tell, yeah, we're not going to be able to listen to this one because it's a bit broken. I'd be willing to bet that William did something to the hand unit so that nobody could listen to whatever it is he said. Also, now is the time you'd be able to put in the password you've been piecing together throughout the nights. I have no idea if this code is random per game, but I'd be willing to bet it probably is. After entering in the password, we see blueprints of the Mimic, along with an audio log from Edwin himself. It goes as follows.
Will, hey, the mascots have been fully upgraded. You won't have to worry about wearing those ever again. Unless you really want to, anyway. Henry will bring them in Saturday morning. I don't want to brag, but I think I might have struck gold with this one. I won't say too much just yet, but this could put MCM on the map as the greatest entertainment and carnival technology company in the country. My inventions are going to be everywhere, and you wanted me to sell the factory. Ha! Good one, Will.
Anyways, with that out of the way, we can actually move on to the night section, which this time around doesn't introduce any new threats and is just a much harder version of Night 4. Bub's speed somehow increases even more, having him bolt to your vents about every 10 seconds. I truly think the biggest problem on this night is 100% Bonnie. With how much Bub attacks and how frequently Fredbear and Monty attack, it is very likely Bonnie will slip away from you, so really be on your A game. The most interesting thing about this night is the phone call. We hear Henry talking about creating springlock suits as opposed to buying a bunch of Mimic prototypes, but Edwin apparently had no interest in any of it, so he decided to build it himself and bring it straight to William, and well, we all know how that turned out. Generally, just keep your cool and focus on this night. Honestly, it isn't too terrible in comparison to some of the other Night 5s we've covered on this channel. After completing Night 5 is where this game splits into two endings depending on whether or not you've collected all the bobbleheads in the pre-Night Free Roam sections. If you at any point missed one, you just get this piss-poor cutscene before the game ends.
Hey, Frank. It's me again. I've backed everything up and I'm headed back to the factory now. I'll take a look at your notes and see what we can improve. Let me know when you get the paycheck, all right? Okay, Frank. Talk to you soon.
Now, that's fucking boring. What we care about is the true ending. What happens if we did gather all of the bobbleheads? Well, we get access to Night 6, so let's get going. During the free roam section of Night 5, we have an interesting task, that being to place some mascots on stage. These being a much fatter version of Freddy and a Spring Bonnie that really just kind of looks like Glitch Trap. If you're wondering why we're doing this, it's actually because during this night, we're actually playing as Henry himself, as he did say he needed to head to the pizzeria to put the new mascots on stage. So once we enter the night section, we get this phone call.
Hello?
Hello, Henry. It's William. Listen, I have to check on the new building soon, so I'll be there in a few hours. Please wait for me. I need to talk to you about something important.
With all due respect, sir, I don't think I can wait that long. I was only supposed to take the prototypes and bring in the new mascots. There are other matters at the factory that need my attention.
Well, work always comes first, doesn't it? I respect that. Then I'll get straight to the point, I suppose. I need you to convince Edwin to sell me the factory.
The factory? Sir, I don't think I understand.
Listen, Henry. Murray's will collapse within a few years if someone doesn't step in. Edwin may be a brilliant creator, but he's a matter of business. I am. Under my leadership, the company wouldn't just survive. It would flourish. More contracts, more reliable employees, and more time for him to focus on his creations. However, if I were to speak to Edwin myself, he'd decline my offer immediately. You know him. He's stubborn. Stubborn just like his old man. He believes he can handle everything, but he's only dragging the company further down. Help me save the factory, Henry. The workers need their jobs. The world needs innovation. But that will only happen if I'm in charge.
I don't think that's possible, sir. It's all he has left of his father. I don't believe he'd give it up so easily. Not to mention Fiona.
I can handle Fiona. Reaching Edwin is the difficult part. But I have faith in you, Henry. You're more capable than you realize. I've seen your dedication. I've seen your abilities. You're meant for more than what MCM is offering you. Do this for me, and the management position of the franchise location is yours.
Sir,
Think about it, Henry.
And with that crazy call, Night 6 begins, acting as this game's boss fight night. Except this time there's 2 bosses instead of only 1. Each character takes the role of 2 of the previous animatronics we've seen, so let's start by talking about the least interesting of the 2, Freddy. Freddy takes the place of Fredbear and Monty. Pretty simple to understand. He can pick either of their attacks at random and then just do them. Nothing very interesting to mention here except for the fact that he's fat as holy hell. Spring Bonnie is where this night gets a bit interesting. So I said both characters take the roles of 2 of the previous characters, but I fucking lied. He only takes the role of Bub. However, he does change how Bub's attack works. During this night, for some reason, you lose access to the ability of closing your right vent. Instead, that Freddy mask that you've seen on your desk this entire game is finally going to be put to use. If you hear Spring Bonnie attack the left vent, same as Bub, just close the vent. However, if he attacks the right side, you will have to quickly put your mask on. And I mean, like, really fast. It is fucking crazy how fast this rabbit is. Now here's the crazy part. Both Freddy and Spring Bonnie can attack you at the same time. So I recommend that every time you pull your camera down, you put your mask on, since you can deal with Freddy while it's on, and if Spring Bonnie decides to attack at the same time, you're screwed. And really, the only camera you need to be watching throughout this night is the left vent camera to be checking for Spring Bonnie, because even though he makes a sound cue like Bub, he is way fucking faster. But if you can keep yourself on your toes all night, you'll complete Night 6 and get this final cutscene. So, the true ending shows the aftermath and how William Afton completely took over the industry, killing Fiona in a fire during Fall Fest and taking over Edwin's company with him mysteriously going missing. At the end of the day, William got what he wanted. But of course, we all know what happens next in the fallout of Henry and Afton, but that's a story for another day. But with that, that is all Five Nights at Freddy's The Flip Side has to offer. And holy shit, did I love it. Overall, I think The Flip Side is an amazing take on the FNAF lore and does an amazing job connecting some of the dots from the main game. The game looks super cool, the animations are incredible, and the gameplay loop is just the right amount of challenging to both not be mind-numbing and not be ass-hair-rippingly difficult. And I would totally recommend it. Oh yeah, and I voice acted in it, so bonus points there. Popular pre-existing IPs in FNAF games. I'm sure quite a few examples already come to your mind when I say that. Five Nights at Wario's, Five Nights at Sonic's, Five Nights at the Krusty Krab, among many others, are very popular examples of this. However, in my journey of playing FNAF games to find games worthy enough to talk about, there's one very popular IP I see show up very frequently. An IP that has so many games made by multiple different talented individuals, and the person who made the game we'll be talking about today needs no introduction. Today, we're going to be talking about a FNAF game about Teletubbies. You might think that's weird since I just talked about the Tubbyland Archives Act 1 a few weeks ago, but this is a perfect example of just how many FNAF fan games have been built around this IP. Today, we'll be covering The Remnants of Tubbyland, a FNAF fan game made by Avocado Dreams. the same person responsible for one of the most terrifying FNAF games ever designed, Graveyard Shift at Freddy's. Rest assured, this game is terrifying as well, and not only that, it's also really hard. So let's waste no more time and jump right into the remnants of Tubbyland. To begin, we have to talk about the setting in which this game takes place. Typically in FNAF games, we see the setting as a restaurant, with animatronics that were on stage and would sing in the party room while the children ate their food. But not this time around. The remnants of Tubbyland takes place in a daycare that's been seemingly left to rot. We take the job as a night guard, and before we know it, we're thrown into a twisted death trap. Loading into the office for the first time, there's already a lot to talk about.
Please don't be as hard as the fucking other. What the fuck am I looking at?
Let's start by mentioning how fucking creepy this game looks. Obviously, we've got this little fella sitting in front of us, and of course, he will become more important later on. But seriously, just look at the scenery in this game. I honestly think it's creepier than Graveyard Shift. Everything just looks so grainy, uncanny, and gross. It seems like a really nasty place to have to spend your time, and yet here we are spending our time here. We get our night one phone call, and it's just about as basic as you could imagine. The typical night one phone call stuff. The phone guy introduces where we are, why we're watching over the place, and pretends like there's nothing to be worried about, because the murder robots would never murder us.
So if they enter your room, they could knock stuff over and probably damage themselves more than they already have.
Just say they can blow my shit out. The reason we're given as to why we're here is pretty unclear. However, we're told that our main objective is just to watch the robots since they are capable of moving around. At least they can acknowledge that this is something that is happening. Of course, he says they won't hurt us, but also decides it's a great idea to explain to us how to defend ourselves on the off chance they come into our office. He explains their facial recognition and says that if they move around too much, they may damage themselves. So I guess we've got some suicidal robots around here. Fantastic. Anyways, how many threats are introduced on night one? 2. 2 threats are introduced on night 1. So let's go over them. Let's start with this game's main attraction, Dipsy.
So I don't see nobody yet. Bro, let me tell you, Avocado Dreams, she knows how to set an atmosphere. What the fuck is that?
Dude, Dipsy Dick will begin on camera 2. If we take a look at the map, we can see the path that the characters will have to take to reach us. It's a little bit confusing, so really take a look at it. As you can see, camera 2 is not actually connected to our office at all. This entire building is just one big spiral to reach our office. So Dipsy Dick will have to start from camera 2, then go to 3, 4, 5, and to finally end up in camera 7 before he can attack us. Make sense? Good. Dipsy makes no noise when moving around, so you'll have to track him yourself on the cameras. Once he reaches camera 7, he actually has 2 phases. One far away from the camera, and another where he's a lot closer to the camera. And even despite the fact that this is a robot, somehow his face is able to distort to an unrealistic length. Don't question it. Ooh, spooky. That's all that matters.
Like an entire half of the building has no cameras in it. That's so ugly. That's so ugly.
Once Dipsy makes it to the second phase on camera 7, his next move and opportunity will have him disappear. When he does, that's how you know he's about to attack you. Since Dipsy will never move backwards, it's always easy to keep track of him. Once he does disappear, you'll have to put on the sun mask located on your desk. It works exactly the same as the mask from FNAF 2, and of course, Avocado Dreams did not disappoint with the animations. Take a look.
Oh my god, dude, that'd be so sick! Damn, bro. That is so cool. That's so cool, bro.
I can't lie to you, man. This shit cool as fuck. This shit cool as fuck.
Just creepy as fuck, isn't it? God, I love it. It's so cool. Anyways, something else about your mask that you've probably noticed is this asthma meter. This is basically just the scrapped toxic meter from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The longer your mask is on, the higher your asthma meter will increase. And if it increases all the way, the mask will forcefully be taken off, and you'll have to wait for a cooldown before you can put it on again. And that's obviously not a good thing, especially not on later nights. Now, for the second threat this night introduces, Trumpet. Trumpet acts as more of a nuisance character rather than an actual threat in this game. However, don't let that make you think you can ignore him, because you most certainly cannot. Occasionally, you'll be able to see Trump Dick rising up from behind your desk. It does make a noise, but on later nights, you may find it hard to hear it while you're on the cameras, so you should get into the habit of checking often. When Trumpet starts to rise, you will have to quickly find his error message that randomly spawns on one of your cameras. My least favorite FNAF mechanic hidden into a character that technically doesn't enter the camera themselves. I'm onto you, game. Watch your back. When you find the error, simply press the power button and Trumpet will fall back behind your desk. But what happens if you just let Trumpet fully appear and start blasting your eardrums with the loudest sound you've ever heard in your entire life? Well, the sound that emits from it will slowly cause the AI value of every other character to slowly increase until Trumpet is turned off. And even after you turn Trumpet off, you want to hear something crazy? The AI values will never go back down throughout the night. So let me tell you, you do not want to miss a Trumpet attack. You will very quickly regret it. Old Trumpet Dick. Night 2 introduces probably the most revolting, nasty, fuck-ass character I've ever seen in my life on this earth. Luckily, it's not nearly as bad as one of Avocado Dream's other demon spawns, Sheriff Slitherdick, but trust me, this character... Luckily, it's not nearly as bad as one of Avocado Dream's other demon spawns, Sheriff Slitherdick, but trust me, this character will still make you want to cover your willy with honey and jump wiener first into a fire anthill. That character, of course, is Poe. Poe is a very simple character to understand. However, that's probably the scariest part about her. Poe starts on camera 1. She will then move to camera 3. From 3, she will either move to camera 2 or camera 4. You want her to move to camera 4. Trust me, it's better for your mental health overall. She will then move between cameras 6, 4, 5, and 3 for the rest of the night. She will never naturally wander to your office, but don't let that make you think you're safe. You're not safe. You're never safe. This is easily the worst character in the entire game. While Poop is on the cameras, if you're looking at the camera she's on, you'll be able to hear the song she emits as she wanders around. You'll have to track her around the cameras to constantly make sure the song is playing. If the song ever stops, you're in trouble. On night 2, a large red button will appear on your desk. If the music stops, all you have to do is push this button and her music will reset. But you have to be really fast. If her music is off, that's when she'll make her way to your office. If you at any point see her in camera 7, you need to hit the button immediately. Faster than you've ever hit anything else before in your entire life. Faster than a 1950s husband hits his wife after coming home and not having a martini in his hand the moment he walks through the door. If you don't, obviously... if you don't... if you don't, obviously she's... Damn it. If you don't, obviously she's gonna bounce into your office and start bouncing on it crazy style. Riding it like a bike with no seat type shit. Oh, but he's fast. It is me or did Poe get really fast? Oh shit. Oh my god, my ass just fell off. Fuck. And before you say anything, look at this ugly fuck. You don't want that. The problem that Poe brings into this game is obviously requiring your constant attention. And Dipsy has already been shown to require a lot of your attention as well. And trust me, the synergy that Poe has with every other character that will be introduced into this game is prominent and brutal the entire way through. So let's continue talking about them, shall we? Night 3 brings on this fuckhead in your office, Tinky Winky. So I really like that. I don't like this fucker staring at me right now. I can't lie. That I'm not a huge fan of, the way he's looking at me. He's like licking his lips and shit. And it's like, let's not. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Tinky Dick works in the exact same way as Peggy from Showman's The Awakening, which I've covered on this channel before, and you should go watch that video after you finish this one. Tinky Dick is very much a weeping angel character. If you're looking at him, he won't move. But if you have your camera up, he will slowly begin to creep towards you throughout 3 different phases. Each phase is pretty obvious, so don't worry about not noticing it. After the final phase, he will attempt to jump you like you're in the streets of Compton. All you have to do is put your mask on and he'll go back to where he was. However, Unlike Dipsy, Tinky requires you to be a lot faster with your mask, and you can't put on your mask before an attack to bait the attack out. Tinky has to attack before putting the mask on will push him backwards. Thankfully, if you're on your cameras, he will force them down when he attacks. So it isn't just a guessing game, but you have to be really, really fast, especially on later nights. You'll have close to only 1 second to put it on once he attacks, lest your butt cheeks get spread and he lathers peanut butter and jelly on that shit like a midnight snack. Oh, okay. It's blatantly obvious. Huh, bitch? Was I just not fast enough? Do you have to be like really, really quick with it? Obviously, Tinky brings up an enormous problem. With 2 characters requiring you to constantly watch them on the cameras, adding a character that penalizes you for using the cameras is obviously going to cause quite a bit of problems. This is actually the problem that led to me having to change the way I play the game and switch up my strategy to solely focusing on Poe and occasionally checking on camera 7 to see if Dipsy has arrived yet. It's also this character that made me decide to start forcing attacks from him. For example, let's say Dipsy just attacked me. I know it's going to be a while before Dipsy can come to attack me again. So in order to not have the asthma meter blow up my guts, I would sit and stare at the cameras until Tinky attacked me, resetting his timer before the next Dipsy attack. It's a very AIDS strategy that makes me die a little bit on the inside, but it does get the job done well enough. Well, now it's time to move on to night 4 and introduce a character so sepsis-ridden you'd think you've injected yourself with every disease on Earth. Lala. Lala starts in camera 1 like poop. She has a set path around the map to get to your office, very similar to Dipsy. On this night, you'll notice that each camera Lala will travel through will now be equipped with a camera button, allowing you to take a picture of each camera and obviously emitting a flash of light at the same time. I'm sure you can tell exactly where this is going. Lala will move throughout the cameras during this night. You will have to flash her on whatever camera she's on to push her back. Then go to the camera you pushed her to and flash her again. Keep doing this until you push her back into camera 1. When she goes back into camera 1, she will shut down and won't attack again for a while, so doing this is very important. And if you're lucky, you can catch her really quickly and only have to push her back once. The problem with her? She is very, very fast. She will move through her cameras faster than the fat bitch in line at the Golden Corral who's hopping up and down because the buffet just got refilled. Sit down, Shamu.
There are so many things that I don't understand. I don't know what's going on right now. Oh. You're telling me she got all the way through the cameras that fast? You're telling me she got through every camera that fast? No. No, this is bullshit. Let me tell you what this is. This is bullshit, bro. Like, what the fuck is that? What is that? How the fuck am I supposed to keep track of those 3 fuckers at the same time while also not looking at the cameras for this fucker? I'll tell you how, you don't. That's bullshit. What the fuck? We now have an interesting group of mechanics to talk about. Thankfully, even though this game does rely a lot on RNG, there was a very clear attempt put in place by Avocado Dreams to mitigate how much RNG is actually involved. The main example I can point to is Tinky Winky. Tinky Winky will never attack you if Lala has left camera 1. This prevents an insta-loss that would otherwise be present. Obviously, if Tinky Dick is about to attack and you get an attack from Lala, if you were to deal with Lala, then Tinky would attack you, and while being attacked, Lala would easily make it to your office and kill you. So thank God Tinky isn't able to attack you while Lala is. However, his aggression meter will still increase, meaning that immediately after you deal with Lala, it's very likely you will get an insta attack from Tinky. So you'll need to be fast, but at least there isn't any luck involved. Night 5 introduces nothing new, and is just a much harder version of Night 4. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you guys. I was not able to beat Night 5. I'm sure that if I threw in hours upon hours of attempts, I would have beaten it eventually, but I just don't have the type of patience like other people do. I applaud you if you beat it, but I did not. But now we get to talk about what everyone who's familiar with this game has been waiting for: Custom Night, and the secret night that comes along with it. If you go into Custom Night, you may notice that there is an extra character slot just labeled NA.
You'll also notice that you're unable to set its AI value. If you input the code 34193 into the other characters and press start, you will be entered into the secret boss night this game has to offer, Dream Night. Dream Night introduces 2 new threats, while disabling all other threats we've seen so far. These 2 new characters are Nunu and Evocation. Let's start with Evocation since he was easily the character that confused me the most. Evocation will begin on camera 2, slowly emerging from a screen. After he leaves that camera, he will randomly teleport to any other camera except camera 1. You'll have to quickly find him and keep your eyes on him. From there, he can attack you in one of 2 ways. The first way will have him get super close to the camera and laugh like a child, which just fills me with rage because I hate children. When he does, all you have to do is flash whichever camera he went to. His other attack has him disappear from the camera entirely. If he does, he will immediately teleport inside of your office and float above you like he's possessed by the devil. If this is the attack he chooses, all you have to do is put your mask on and he will leave instantly. You do have to be pretty fast with both attacks, so make sure you have your reflex game on point. Another thing to point out about the way Evocation attacks is that he will never attack the same way twice. So, his first attack will be random, but from there it will be incredibly easy to predict how he will attack since he'll just be alternating between the 2, which honestly serves to make this boss fight easier. Anyways, on to the only other threat present in Dream Night, Nunu, the vacuum, or if you have bad teeth and your country's food tastes like shit, a Hoover. Nunu is very simple, really just being a distraction character. He will randomly wander around cameras 4, 5, and 6. Occasionally, you may hear a loud metal bang. That means Nunu is just being a pesky little guy. Find which camera he's on, which should be pretty easy since his eyes will be flashing and he'll be emitting a nasty noise. Simply flash the camera he's on and bada bing bada boom, he's dealt with. Upon beating Dream Night, you will unlock that special character in the custom night screen. Spoiler alert, it's fucking Evocation. You might be wondering where Nunu is. Well, Nunu is actually a part of Evocation. So if you activate Evocation, Nunu will be activated alongside him as well, which I honestly think is really cool. As far as the story of this game goes, Avocado Dreams kept it pretty simple. After completing Night 5, we get this news article along with our paycheck. Infamous Tubbyland Daycare finally sees its end after a 15-year long battle to sell the property. Following a tragic accident back in 2000, the childcare facility promptly closed its doors and left the building dormant, alone, and forgotten. Years having flown by, locals urged city officials to accelerate the auction process due to rumors that have been circulating the desolate daycare. The property is planned to be utilized for a brand new facility using the same philosophies and presentation ideas, but aiming for a new and safer direction. So it's very clear that something terrible happened in 2000. So what could that possibly be referring to? According to the wiki, back in 2000, Nunu fucking exploded inside of the daycare, starting a massive fire. Our player, Parker Anderson, was in the building at the time with his son, Lucas. Lucas most likely being the identity of Evocation, which would also make sense as to why Nunu is activated alongside of him and why a child will laugh when he gets close to the camera. When the fire erupted, Parker left the building and saved himself, leaving his son behind to be burned alive. Years later, as the building is going to be demolished after being sold, Parker takes up the night shift job. He's unable to move on. Filled with guilt, he's not capable of forgetting what he did. Of course, Lucas's soul lingers inside the daycare, still angry, unforgiving of what his father did to him. So in Dream Night, he lashes out to attack. There's honestly not a whole lot of info on this game's lore. That is quite literally all I was able to gather from it. If there's anything I'm missing or something new comes up after this video goes live, please let me know in the comments below, as I definitely feel like there's a bit more to this. But as far as I'm aware, that's all the remnants of Tubbyland has to offer. Overall, I think this game is incredibly scary. It's very good at keeping you on your toes the entire time, and while I may feel like the later nights are not balanced very well, and that there is still a large deal of RNG to have to deal with, I can't go without appreciating Avocado Dreams' attempts at mitigating it as much as possible. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think that this game is just a bad attempt at recreating the amazing experience that was Graveyard Shift at Freddy's? Let me know in the comments below. Roblox horror games, something that is pretty atypical for this channel. In fact, I've only talked about Roblox horror games twice on this channel before. One video being about Rainbow Friends and the other about Pressure. However, recently I've been getting suggested a couple Roblox FNAF games to play. I always knew there were FNAF games on Roblox. In fact, there's a couple of Roblox games that place really high on the official max mode list. Of course, I did always intend on getting around to playing these games, and if you follow Dxtr Black, you'll see that I have played a couple, and the game that we're covering here today is one of those games. A reimagining of one of the most hated official Five Nights at Freddy's games of all time, fixing all of its problems and introducing several new mechanics that make the game feel fresh, while also looking so graphically impressive, you'd be surprised to hear it was even made in Roblox at all. So join me today as we dive into the world of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Reimagined. In terms of the game's overall story, not a whole lot has changed. At least, that is up until the end. We'll obviously talk about that later, so if you were hoping for a massive lore dump, hate to break it to you, it's pretty much just the official lore with a few changes. However, it's still told very well. Night 1 starts the way most do. You get a phone call from the phone guy, Ryan. Ryan gives us the basic rundown of what's going on, what we're doing, and how to do it. So I suppose that means it's also my turn to do the same for you. Except I'll throw in a couple dick jokes along the way, and then after the video is over, you could read the comments to find the few comedy police who say something along the lines of, "Gah, I was really liking this video, but the amount of inappropriate jokes really just took me out of it." I'm glad it took you out of it. Us normal people who aren't afraid to laugh at stupid jokes are gonna continue to have fun. Keep seething. To start, there are many things that have stayed the same. Of course, the office layout is pretty much identical, 2 vents to the right and left of you, and a big open hallway in front. The camera setup has been left exactly the same as well, so at least we don't have to relearn the basics. What is different about the office, however, is the breaker box, which can be found behind you. Opening it, we can find breakers to several of the cameras around the map, and I'll explain why this is important a bit later. One thing I do want to point out right now, though, is why we whip around at breakneck speed. Seriously, look at how violent this animation is. Calm down, buddy. You're gonna give yourself whiplash.
Dude, why the fuck does dude move so much? He turns around, he fucking whips. Look at him. Fuck, it ain't that deep, bro.
Anyways, the next thing I want to talk about is your flashlight, as that has also been changed slightly. To start, you'll notice there is no longer a battery life to your flashlight. So you may be wondering how Balloon Boy is supposed to work without his integral mechanic. Well, hold your dick, little spastic. You're getting way too far ahead of yourself. Let's slow it down and take this little by little. Your flashlight is now used to flash not only the hallway, but the 2 vents as well, as now the vents don't have their own dedicated button. Before we continue on, there's also one little thing I do want to point out about your office I thought was funny. If you take a look at the clock on your desk, you'll see a coffee mug is blocking the second set of digits, probably so that the developers didn't have to actually program the clock ticking second by second. This literally plays no role in importance in the entirety of the game. I just think it's fun to see the way devs are able to cut corners sometimes. Anyways, moving on to the first threat this night introduces, those being Toy Chica and Toy Bonnie.
Oh shit, damn. Oh, damn, mama. Sorry. Boing.
They work the exact same way they do in the original with some minor tweaks. For one, if you weren't aware, let me give you a quick fun fact about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. If you dig through the game files, you'll be able to find an unused asset for Toy Chica. It's never seen throughout the game and was originally intended to be used to allow her to glide across your office like Toy Bonnie does. It's even completely coded in, but it's never called in the actual game. Well, Reimagined brings this back, and in a big way. Both Bonnie and Chica will enter your office after being in your vents. However, unlike the original, where you can see both Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica staring at you in the vents, in Reimagined, they instead chose to bolt through your vents at the speed of sound.
giving you no time to see them in your vent. When you hear them coming, you have to put the mask on fast. Like, I'm talking fast as shit. These guys aren't playing around at all. If they get their hands on you, they're gonna rock your world. I'm talking tie your own dick into a noose and make you hang yourself with it. Ooh. God, no, not that. I meant to fucking put the mask on, bro. I meant to put the mask on. That jump scare was insane, by the way. Seriously, I'm probably not going to get around to showing you each of these jump scare animations, but you should go check them all out because these animations are clean as fuck. This entire game looks super clean. Keep in mind, this is Roblox. It is so impressive how good this game really looks. Anyways, moving on to talking about the game. More specifically, Night 2 and the new threats it introduces. Hold up, Dexter. What about the marionette? Does she not become active on this night? No. Dear viewer? No, she doesn't. In fact, the marionette is completely absent from this game. That's right, FNAF 2 Reimagined removed the music box mechanic from this game entirely. So, with my dick as hard as a rock from getting that information delivered to me, let's happily heel click our way into Night 2. Night 2 only introduces one new threat, but it's a big one, Withered Foxy. Now, I want you to pause real quick. I promise you, he is nowhere near as carpal tunnel inducing as he is in the original. In the original, Withered Foxy would appear in your hallway. You'd have to spam your control key to flash your light at him until he disappears. Every time you'd flash, an invisible value would increase by 1, and when it reached 20, he would go away. He also showed up frequently as fuck, making him the second most annoying character in the entire game, right after Toy Bonnie. So, how does Reimagined fix him? Well, he actually has two different mechanics. The first still has him enter your hallway. He'll make a breathing sound cue when he does. All you have to do is hold the light on him for a little bit and he'll leave. No spamming required. However, if you hear this sound cue and for some reason don't see him in your hallway, that means he's either in camera 1, 2, 3, or 4. You will have to find which camera he's in and use your flash beacon, which, by the way, is just a beam of light I've chosen not to mention so far. When you do, he'll fuck right off. Perfect. Something interesting about the phone call on Night 2 is that Ryan called us in the first place. At the end of the Night 1 phone call, he said he wouldn't be calling us again because the boss, presumably William Afton, is breathing down his neck. So getting a call on Night 2 is surprising. He said he saw William inputting new parts into the old robots. He also tells us that these old models are very aggressive, which is interesting because usually the phone guys in these games will refuse to tell us anything about what's going on. Night 3 introduces two new threats, those being Mangle and Withered Freddy. Mangle is the easiest to understand, so let's start with her. She follows a very basic path, starting at the prize corner and making her way into your hallway. From there, she'll just crawl across the ceiling into your office rather than entering the right vent like in the original. Of course, all you need to do is put the mask on and it's problem solved. Now, on to Withered Freddy, who is the second reason to look at your cameras aside from Withered Foxy. Freddy is not fooled by the mask, something that you may find interesting given the fact he is in the original. And I have a theory as to why he is this way. We know William is using new parts on the old characters, which is why they're moving. Well, Toy Freddy never activates throughout this game. He literally has no mechanics. So my theory is that William is using parts from Toy Freddy to make Withered Freddy move around. For what reason? That I don't have an answer to. Anyways, what does Freddy actually do? Well, he begins in the main room and will slowly walk throughout the building to your office. Since he's an older model like Foxy, he's very sensitive to light, so the flash beacon will push him back a camera. Every time he moves, he'll make a very noticeable sound cue, making it easy to keep track of him. Overall, a mechanic I'm not usually a huge fan of, but it does get some brownie points for having a sound cue associated with it, I suppose. It's also during the Night 3 phone call we learn why Henry hasn't been showing up for work. Apparently his daughter died. Wow. Who would have thought? I wonder who could have possibly done that.
Anyways, snooze fest bitches, night 4 time it is. Introducing the final 2 characters this game has to offer, Withered Bonnie and Withered Chica. Both do the exact same thing, but just attack different sides of your office. Bonnie will attack your left vent and Chica will attack your right. They're just like their toy variants with one key difference. They're not affected by your mask. So how do you deal with them? Well, let's be adults and use context clues like grown-ups. Both Withered Freddy and Withered Foxy are sensitive to light. So, given the fact that Bonnie and Chica are also both withered animatronics, it's safe to say they'd be sensitive to light too. So, when you hear them crawling in your vent, which it does have a different sound cue to the toys coming through your vent, thankfully, all you have to do is hold your flashlight on that vent until they arrive. Instead of just leaving, they will actually throw you into a Five Nights at Candy's 3 style minigame, where they will jump around your office and you'll have to keep your light held on them until they eventually run away like little piss babies. Night 4's phone call mentions that the back room is starting to smell really bad, like there's something rotting back there. Now, I'm no genius, believe it or not. I do talk about Five Nights at Freddy's for a living, but I'm gonna guess that that's because there's 5 dead children back there. Just a hunch, but I'm willing to bet I'm probably correct. Night 5 adds nothing new. However, I do want to use this time to talk about your breaker, since I haven't really done that yet. Occasionally, one of your cameras has the chance to randomly break and go out. When it does, all you have to do is turn around and reboot whichever camera went out. Super simple, and in all honesty, throughout my entire playthrough, which by the way you can see over on my second channel, Dxtr Black, I actually rarely ever had this happen to me. And of course, another pretty important thing to bring up is the lack of characters in this game. Notably, Balloon Boy, the Marionette, Withered Golden Freddy, and Toy Freddy are completely absent and have no mechanics. And I actually think that the reasoning for this makes sense, if my reasoning is correct, that is. So, many of the characters in the original Five Nights at Freddy's 2 just do literally the exact same thing. Tell me what the difference between Toy Freddy and Withered Freddy are. Spoiler alert, there is no difference. In fact, the toy animatronics are actually disabled on nights 3 and 4 to instead be completely replaced by the Withereds. They serve no interesting purpose at all. You don't need Balloon Boy since there's no flashlight battery. The Marionette doesn't make sense since this game came up with a much better way to force you to look at the cameras. And Withered Golden Freddy isn't present for a lore reason, which we'll be talking about in a bit. And by a bit, I mean right now. After completing Night 5, we get this cutscene.
Michael, William just pulled into the parking lot. You need to get out of there now. Don't even bother with the parts and service room anymore. Just get the hell out. He knows you're in the middle of your shift. There's no other reason he would be there than to... Just get out. I'm waiting outside in my car right now. It's hidden in the village. I called the police, but they won't be here for a while. This place is in the middle of nowhere. Wait. He's messing with something on the side of the building. Hold on.
Calm down. I'm not going to hurt you. He's afraid of me. He won't follow you in here even if he could.
How in the world are you talking to me?
What do you mean? I'm right here, aren't I?
You're not human. How could you talk to me?
I'm not human? Look at my hands right here. I'm talking to you right now.
But Never mind. Oh, this is insane. Who are you?
My name is Charlotte.
What the hell happened here?
He hurt us really bad. I was bleeding here, then I fell asleep. I can't move anymore.
You were bleeding?
Yes, I was bleeding right here, I think. After that, I don't remember much. Then I woke up.
Do you remember anybody else here with you?
My friends were here. He hurt them too. I tried to stop him, but the more I cried, the more it hurt. I just wanted them to be safe.
I'm sorry. You said he hurt us. Who is he?
You know who he is.
I believe I do. He's here right now. William.
I know that. He won't come in here anymore. He is afraid of me and my friends.
Are your friends the ones out there right now?
Yes, but they're confused and angry. They're looking for the one who did this to them.
Why are they so aggressive to me? I would never.
William was masked when he hurt us. They don't know who to blame. It doesn't help that you're wearing that uniform.
Why don't you just tell them?
It's not that easy. I can't talk to them the same way I can talk to you. They won't listen to me. I think they're still in shock.
How do you know the truth?
My father knew William. They were business partners. I never thought he would hurt us. I trusted him.
Do you really believe you're still human?
I don't feel any different. I can still see my hands and they look like my own. I just feel a little cramped. If I think about it too much, I'll go mad.
Where did William hide you and your friends after he hurt you?
I don't know. As I said, I fell asleep after he hit me.
Is there any way I can help you or your friends? Help you move on?
Burn this place to the ground.
But
It's the only way to help my friends. They'll get nothing from revenge. It'll only make them more confused.
Okay, I can help you. Wait, one more thing.
Yes?
I haven't heard William in a couple of minutes. What is he doing right now?
Hiding, like a coward, waiting for me to kill you. He thinks I'm like the others. He believes that when my friends inevitably kill either you or Ryan, they'll get the closure they need to leave their bodies. It's a pipe dream, but his last resort. He's been trying to get us out for days now without destroying the characters.
Your father. You said he and William were business partners. His name is Henry, right?
Yes, his name is Henry. Please tell me he's alright.
I don't know. He's been looking for you. He filed a missing persons report to the police and he hasn't come into work for a week.
I don't want him to see me like this.
He'll find out the truth sooner or later. Okay, I think I'm ready.
Thank you for this. Break those pipes in the kitchen and you'll release flammable gas into the building. Do you have a lighter?
Of course.
William is hiding in the bathroom right now, waiting for you to walk down the hallway. Don't worry, my friends will find him shortly. They're relentless, as you would know. He doesn't have the slightest clue how aggressive they've gotten. It won't be pretty.
He'll get what he deserves.
That he will. Quiet. Listen. Quick, now's your chance. Let this place just become a bad memory.
So, we set William ablaze in typical FNAF fashion, and FNAF 2 Reimagined comes to a close. Kind of. When this game first came out, that is where the main story ended. However, months after, a DLC was released that introduced a sixth night. And that night is something so unique, I've only seen something like it once before.
Michael, you have a calling. Your efforts to save them, how selfless, have failed. They're still here with me. Charlotte, Oliver, Lucas, Ethan, and Zoe. I still remember their screams like it was yesterday. And they'll die again, and again, and again. Unless you come back to me and finish what you started. You're going to wish you never defied me.
Night 6 has us re-enter the restaurant after it burned down. We have one final task to complete, saving all of the children. This night reminds me heavily of the entire gameplay loop of A Shadow Over Freddy's, mainly in the way you move around, and the only threat present. As you could have probably been able to tell from the cutscene, William, of course, didn't die from that fire. William will randomly wander around the building. When you run into him, you will have to do something. I literally have no fucking idea what it is you have to do, though. I was never able to actually fully understand it. I got some comments from viewers over on Dxtr Black, because apparently I was just completely fucking wrong. I know it has something to do with your flash burst, which you only have 3 of. Something along the lines of, when you see William, flash him? Kind of. Except it doesn't ever work. And even if you follow him into the next room he went into to try and flash him then, he'll just kill you instantly? I literally have no idea. Maybe I'm just retarded. Anyways, how do you actually save the kids? Well, behind the stage you'll find a crank. You will use this crank to muff up all of the withered animatronics around the building, who are now barely able to move. Each room that one of these characters are in are what's known as a safe room, meaning that William will not be able to catch you there. And if you have William's attention from him spotting you, you will lose said attention if you enter one of these safe rooms. Using these safe rooms is what I used while playing this game since I was too stupid to understand what I was actually supposed to do. Freddy's corpse is located in the kitchen, Bonnie is in the bathroom, Foxy is in some fucking room. I actually have no idea what the name of this room he's in is called, and Chica is in one of the party rooms. The big opening to the hallway is blocked off, so you'll have to do a pretty big loop around the building in order to get them all. When you go to use the crank on each of the animatronics, a long animation plays, and it's during these animations you can really see how scared these characters appear to be, really hitting home the fact that even though these characters are scary, they are still possessed by children, and you can really see the fear from them during these cutscenes, especially in Foxy's cutscene, which I feel shows how scared they are the most. After saving all the kids, you can go to the back room to save Golden Freddy, only for this to happen. Rotten hell.
Oh, I won't be going to hell. I'm going to watch the light leave your eyes, just as I did with them.
But why? What did they ever do to you? They're children.
She's awake. Are you down for good, Michael? You never give up. That's what I like.
you dead. That's what I want.
Oh, Michael. You never were a good listener.
And with that, that's truly where Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Reimagined comes to a close. A borderline perfect recreation of one of the community's most hated official FNAF titles. But now we have to ask the question, was a remake like this necessary? Did we really need someone to change the original game? I think the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Out of all of the official FNAF games, even though FNAF 2 isn't my least favorite, I can totally agree that it is the most boring and, in my opinion, the most uninspired. I mean, FNAF 2 only released 3 months after the first. That is not a lot of time in development for a game of any degree, and I think it really shows. From reusing mechanics from other characters to artificially inflate the roster, to having mechanics so utterly boring and bullshit like the music box in Withered Foxy, I truly think it's only fair to say that this game did Five Nights at Freddy's 2 better than Five Nights at Freddy's 2 ever could itself. Not only does this game look better, it plays better, sounds better, and is more enjoyable to play overall. Nothing feels too RNG based, and each character's mechanics are solid and unique enough. One of my biggest issues with the original Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the fact that there is only one vent noise, but there are around 14 different instances where a vent noise plays, making the entire night a confusing, overstimulating mess. Of course, another very common problem people have with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is the RNG. Of course, technically speaking, it can be beaten with no RNG, but that requires you to have a fuck ton of timers and a bunch of other bullshit, and normal people probably aren't going to be doing all that. What do you think is the most underrated Five Nights at Freddy's fan game ever made? A series that is so amazing you'd think it'd be talked about everywhere, but when you go to check, it seems like nobody has ever even heard of it. The game we'll be covering today is one of those games for me, and when doing research for this video, especially when talking about the lore, I found it incredibly difficult to piece it together because of how little information there seems to be about it. But rest assured, I think I've got it figured out. The game we'll be covering today is Project Readjusted, a FNAF fan game with one of my favorite stories of all time. Sit back, relax, and let's jump into this amazing trilogy together. First big change I noticed in Project Readjusted from most FNAF games is the way the phone calls were handled. Rather than having the phone calls take place inside the game, this game instead chooses to have us listen to the phone call before we even load into the office, instead giving us a still image to look at showing the characters we will be seeing on each night. I'll admit it's unique, however, I think I'd personally prefer to be able to mess around with the cameras, mechanics, and so on while the phone guy is talking, and just have to make sure nobody moves while that's happening. I feel that's a much better way to utilize the first phone call in a FNAF game. The first phone call doesn't give out any meaningful information, really just going over how the main character Buster works, but it's my job to explain the mechanics, so I don't think I'll be letting the depressed sounding Wei Ji do that for me. Upon loading into the office, you may feel just a little cramped, and that's normal. This office is teeny tiny, like much smaller than most FNAF offices I've seen in my days. Obviously, we have a door to the office, because if we didn't, I'd question how we even got into the room in the first place. However, the interesting thing about this door is that it doesn't close. Oh, Dexter! Does it not have an actual door? Like, it's just a doorway? No, there's a door. Our character just for some reason chooses not to close it. But instead of thinking that's because we're playing in the shoes of a dumbass, I'm instead going to assume it's because we're playing in the shoes of a badass who isn't scared of anything.
We also, of course, have our cameras, which are very interesting to say the least. To start, they have two modes, lights on mode and useless mode, because as I'm sure you could have guessed, if the lights are off, you can't see anything. I know, groundbreaking. You'll also notice you have a camera stability percentage. What does that mean? Well, as the name suggests, it reads the percentage of your camera stability. I'm sorry, I'll stop talking like that. While on your cameras, the stability will quickly decrease. Putting the camera down will cause it to quickly increase back up. If it drops down to 0, you're gonna have to wait a while before being able to use it again. So, what about that Buster fella I mentioned earlier? How does he work? Great question, viewer of questionable stench. Buster is as basic as a character can get. I'm sure you could probably guess what he does, but it's my job to tell you. Buster will move around through the cameras with the goal of getting to your office. Once there, he'll peek his little head through the door. Using this comically large blue button on the wall of your office, you can shine a light into the doorway, revealing he has the teeth of a British person. Hold this light on him for long enough and he'll go away. Simple sugar. After night 1, we get a short cutscene. You guys seem to like the narration I did in my Maggie's video, so instead of just summarizing what happened like I would usually do, I figured why not narrate this as well. Hey, it's been a long time, you and me. We finally met ends on a good note, for now. I'm only implying that our experience will be better. Now, there is something I need to tell you. I know I'm jumping to conclusions without explaining who I am, but bear with me. There is something inside this diner. Just maybe put on some type of gig to make some fool believe you to make them work here. Maybe that person will lure that thing out. I'll tell you more tomorrow, but for now, let's begin to go inside. Let's take the back alley, as it's less noticeable. Come along, we only have 5 days. Sounds like someone's trying to dupe us and use us as bait. That's not very kind, vaguely barbaric. But whatever, we're already working here. I guess it's just in our best interest to not die. Moving on to night 2, you can quickly take a little nap because the phone guy takes a billion years to talk about the new character this night adds, and ramble about some arcade machines. The new character added on this night is Old Buster. At least, that's the name that would make sense. However, this character's name is actually Redeemer. Quite literally, being an older Buster model, I can't quite wrap my head around why they chose to name him in the way they did. Redeemer makes use of your vents, something I've neglected to mention thus far. You can't really see it, but the vent is to the right of your office behind the door, so just out of sight. Redeemer does whatever he damn well pleases until he eventually decides to enter the vent. When he does, an obvious sound cue will play letting you know he's entered. Once he reaches your office, he'll dive in. When he's in your office, it's very important that you don't look at him. However, since the office we're in is so small, it may prove very difficult to just look away from him. So you'll have to be looking at your cameras while he's in your office instead. I guess Redeemer has the mindset of, if I can't see him, he can't see me. Stupid ass robot. This, however, may bring up a possible conflict. If your camera stability is too low by the time Redeemer gets to your office, it's safe to say that you wouldn't have a very good time. But luckily for us, at this point in the game, checking the cameras is entirely useless. So as of right now, this shouldn't be a problem. Hey, so I was looking around in these garbage bins and found a key. It's great, I know, the low effort put into protecting this place. Anyways, remember that idea I had, well, a few minutes ago? I got this one guy on my phone now. His name is Hayden Simmons. Pretty dumb fellow. I bet he doesn't even know of this place. Probably a high school dropout or a kid desperate for some easy cash. Well, now let's venture inside this establishment and set up an office for our buddy. So, we know the name of our character, Hayden Simmons. Too bad his name is one of the rhyming Aiden names, probably the worst group of names anybody could have. That's besides the point though. It seems like the building we're working in isn't even supposed to have an office. It's clear something sinister is going on here, but we don't quite know what yet. Moving on to night 3, I'm going to spare you the details and have us skip the phone call because he explains what the newest character does in an amount of time that could be an entire video by itself. Night 3 introduces Ned. Ned is ugly, like ugly as sin. He's got a face not even a mother could love. Booger-ah, boy. He will try to make his way to your office via the long hallway in the building. Unlike Buster, he isn't a complete dumbass, so the light trick won't really work on him. What will work on him, however, is the replace machinery button that I've blatantly and purposefully ignored up until this point, because explaining it earlier really wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense, now would it? Ned has multiple stages in the hallway. Every time you use the replace machinery button, he will go back a stage. I'm sure you can figure out how this works. Push him back, wait for the button to recharge, push him back again, keep him away from your office, which would in turn keep him away from your genitals. Whoopity-doo. However, this does bring up the issue of us needing to use our cameras now. So in combination with Redeemer, Ned could end up being a big problem down the road. Alright, sorry for keeping you waiting, but I had to run back to my car to get a battery for my phone. It's pretty low percentage right now, but it'll last now. Hayden says he'll be able to work next week, which is great. We'll pay him around $150 for his work, I guess. Maybe it's considered a scam to him, but I don't care. He just said he's not a fan of night jobs, but will do it anyways, and he'll play on his phone. That's gonna go down well. Anyways, let's head inside. The Wi-Fi better not be bad inside, I swear. Not much to note from this cutscene. We know we're getting criminally underpaid, and we know that playing on our phone really isn't going to be an option, which just makes me smile from ear to ear personally. Night 4 introduces 2 new characters. However, one of them serves to be more of an annoyance than an actual threat, so we'll talk about him first. Greg is a little asshole. Really, this game's Balloon Boy. Not because he has the same mechanic, except I lied because he kinda does. His main goal is to disable your light and leave you vulnerable to Buster. He'll slowly crawl across your office. You will have to click him multiple times to make him go away. If you don't, he'll park his fat ass on the button and prevent you from using your light. You might be asking yourself, Dxtr, clicking on him? How does the game justify that making sense? Perfect question. From the way the phone guy describes it, it's just poking him. So I guess this motherfucker's just the Pillsbury Doughboy. Ticklish ass robot. The other That's so fucking stupid. The other character introduced on this night is Glancy, what I feel is this game's most frustrating character. Glancy tries to get into the back storage room and just literally fuck up everything in the entire building. Rip wires, killing your lights and your camera. So obviously something you should want to avoid. The way you do so is very easy. Remember how I mentioned the cameras had 2 states, on and useless? Well, turns out I lied, as the useless mode actually isn't useless. When Glancy gets into this back room, all you have to do is turn the camera lights off and he won't be able to see shit, making him decide to travel into another room by accident. I'd imagine it's an accident since he can't see, but he could have easily just gotten pissed off and left on his own accord. Which, if he can see where the exit is, you'd probably think he could see the wires, but I guess not. We're inside. Now, let's just put some of these cameras around the building and we'll be all set. Oh, never mind. There's a panel lying down on this shelf. Wait. You hear that? Well, anyways, you'll record calls just to convince him, Andrew. Just do a casual voice or whatever. Nice, these'll work. What the? Did I just hear walking? Wait, who are you? Andrew, run. He's looking for me. I'll see you around, friend. Gulp. So we know the name of our phone guy. Andrew. Sounds like whoever is heard in these cutscenes isn't Andrew then. And apparently upon entering the building, something found them. Andrew ran, leaving whoever he was with behind, not knowing what the outcome was. Night 5's phone call actually has something interesting in it, if you could believe that. Andrew tells us that the character introduced on this night has something they want. Finally, a motive for what they're doing. Apparently this new character, Vinard, has a special chip that they really want. Andrew doesn't explain why they want this chip, but I'm sure we're gonna find out. Speaking of Vinard, what does he do? Well, he will try to hack the cameras so that you can't use them, and then wheel his way over to your office to kill you. Not sure why he has to disable the cameras to do that, but he does, I guess. Occasionally, you will see a purple error next to his camera. When you do, all you have to do is go to that camera and turn the light off so he can't see. Because like some people, he can't type without looking at the keyboard. Embarrassing. That's a talent you probably want to learn if you're on a computer all day. But that's really all he does. It really starts to show on this night how difficult this game can be, requiring you to be in the cameras very frequently. The only real chance you'll get to recharge your stability is when Buster is attacking, and I think that was on purpose for the sake of balancing, but maybe I'm being too optimistic. Unlike every other night, Night 5 doesn't have a post-night cutscene, so I can't talk about that. What I can talk about, however, is an Easter egg and a fun piece of trivia about one of the characters in this game. After completing Night 5, you will unlock Custom Night. Inside, if you set everyone to max and click the Fox plushie in your office, you'll get this jump scare. And if you're interested in something about Vinard, he's actually a character made by Mixlass, the guy that made Tyke & Sons Lumber Co. and Baby's Nightmare Circus, which I've covered on this channel before. Definitely go watch that video after you finish this one. And as a result of using Mixlass's character, Mixlass then used one of Mechless's characters in his game Tyke & Sons Lumber Co. Pretty cool if you ask me. But that is all Project Readjusted has to offer. Overall, I think the game is surprisingly mechanically complex for a first game, something pretty uncommon with fan games that take place in a series like this. But don't let the lack of lore fool you, as Project Readjusted has one of the most interesting stories I've ever seen, and it continues in Project Readjusted 2.
It's been so long since I've seen Matthew. He just disappeared. I must find him again. I have so many questions. I could possibly get answers from the new Buster's location. The location is currently being renovated, but they must need some kind of guard. Could be hiding there after all this time. Well, let's see where this takes me in my hunt to find him.
Project Readjusted 2 opens with a mission already in mind, finding a man named Matthew. I'm unsure who Matthew could be. My only guess at this time is it's the guy that got left behind by Andrew in the first game, but that is obviously unconfirmed as of now. Our player, Andrew, enters an old Buster's location to look for answers, throwing us right into Night 1. Loading into Night 1, we get a call from the phone guy who goes over the basics of what we'll be doing. He mentions that they're currently working on newer models of all the characters. Not a whole lot of interest to point out during this call. However, what is of interest is how scared I was when I first saw the equivalent of 3 fucking music boxes in one camera. But lucky us, we don't have to worry about that right now. Unlike Readjusted 1, this game doesn't have anything to stop you from staring at your cameras for as long as you'd like, which is a breath of fresh air. But that only means that this game is going to be AIDS in a different way, and we'll figure out how soon. Let's talk about the first and only threat Night 1 introduces, Cable Buster, who I'm just going to be calling Buster because I'm lazy. Buster makes use of a new mechanic this game introduces, the Showtime tapes in Camera 1. When Buster gets to either Camera 5 or Camera 7, you will have to look at him. He will be repeating a day of the week. I don't know why he feels the need to say it out loud constantly. Phone guy explained that apparently that's what he's designed to do, walk around the building and inform people when the show is about to start. But why would he say the day of the week if that was the case? I have no idea. Once Buster says what day of the week the show is on, you will have to quickly go to Camera 1, set the sound file to the day of the week he stated, and play the audio track. This will cause him to meander back to Camera 1 and do a little jiggy. Just kidding, he doesn't dance. I just lied to you.
Something isn't right. Papers are coming in about a missing person. A missing person at the old Buster's. It must have been the spy that Matthew took care of. He's on the prowl and I will end it in this place. There's no way I can fail this. His tracks are so hidden yet so predictable. I just need more clues.
So, Matthew killed a guy, and not just any guy, he killed a spy. So clearly Matthew is probably a bad and dangerous man. So we should approach with caution. Not knowing anything else, we move on to Night 2. Night 2, the phone guy introduces some new mechanics, but fuck him, my voice sounds better. Night 2 introduces Infested Glancer, but before we talk about what he does, we should talk about the second thing our cameras can do. Show some air ducts. Hooray! The air duct menu is very reminiscent of the ones from Ultimate Custom Night. You have a radar that you can use to detect anything moving inside. Spoiler alert, Glancer is inside. You may also notice that there are 3 things you can repair. Are your FNAF 3 senses going off? Because mine are going haywire and it's making me want to off myself. The three things to repair are your radar, your lights, and your doors. Glancer will attack any of the three vents in your air ducts, all of which lead to your office. Use the radar to find where he is, and close the door when he gets too close. You'll notice that you have a meter on this screen that tracks your door power. If it runs out, you'll have to reboot the doors, and of course, after too many uses of your radar, you'll have to reboot that as well. Glancer brings up a very obvious issue. He's fucking annoying, and he's very fast, easily being the most annoying character in this entire game, demanding the majority of your attention like a clingy girlfriend that you're slowly falling out of love with. And of course, the repairs in this game are some of the most frustrating mechanics I've ever had to deal with, spending the majority of my playthrough listening to that ear-grating beeping. This is where camera stalling comes into play. By staring at Glancer, or Buster if you really wanted to, you can prevent them from moving. Glancer does not initially start in the air ducts, so I'd usually spend as long as I possibly could staring at him so he didn't slip away, because once he's in those ducts is when he becomes Satan.
I can't decide on what to do. This whole situation is terrible. One wrong step and I'm in jail or potentially executed. I'm not falling into that hole of guilt with no way to release it. But damn, corpse inside that Glancer suit has definitely gotta be the spy. What else would Matthew have done to the body? Thrown it out? No way. I got my evidence. Now I just have to find Matthew himself. He can't be stopped now.
So apparently there's a body inside of Glancer, the spy that Matthew killed. So yeah, that checks out. It really wouldn't be a FNAF game if people weren't getting stuffed into mascot suits, would it? Night 2 introduces two new characters, Magic Suit and Wraith Ned. Let's talk about Ned first since he's less annoying. He's this game's version of a Phantom Chica. Occasionally, he can start to appear on one of your cameras. If you don't look away from him fast enough, he'll jump scare you and cause you to need to repair everything. Your radar, your lights, your doors, your dick. Not super annoying, just get some reflexes and you'll be fine. Magic Suit, on the other hand, is very annoying. This is the guy who thought it'd be really funny to have 3 fucking music boxes at the same time. His 3 plugs will slowly decrease in power. You'll have to keep them charged up if you don't want Magic Suit to Magic Mike you. Fuck. You'll have to keep Fuck. You'll have to keep him charged up if you don't want Magic Suit to Magic Mike you. But in all honesty, these 2 new characters aren't even an issue. This entire game's main problem is Glancer. God, I hate him so much I could just stick a fork in my ass. That doesn't even make any sense, but irrational anger causes irrational responses sometimes. I don't know what to tell you.
What the hell was that purple thing? Is the air in this place toxic? What the hell? Can't keep working here. I must escape before I lose my mind. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a feeling finding Matthew won't be easy. Speaking of which, I found a tape from the old location. That Glancer suit had made itself in the backstage. How? Must have found the pieces from when the original Glancer and Glossy characters were split up and put together. I don't know how sewing those two together made any sense, but I guess it was good for Halloween. Scratch that. Anyways, Matthew forced that spy corpse down inside the Glancer suit while it was trying to escape. What is wrong with these chips? I feel like someone is controlling them. No way this is artificially programmed in the animatronics. It's too mobile. Now there's more than one thing I need to find out. Great. So it sounds to me that Glancer put himself together and tried to escape the building, but while doing so, Matthew stuffed a corpse of the spy inside of him. What the hell is going on? I have no idea, but hopefully some more context will come along soon. The only character introduced on Night 4 is Wraith Finn, being in my opinion the second biggest threat in this game. Finn will quietly appear in your office. Up until this point, you haven't had any reason to ever lower your camera. Well, Finn is now your reason. When he appears in your office, you will have to hold your mouse over the top half of his body until he fades away. If you don't, say hello to a fuck ton of repairs and a quick death. Something I find really weird about this mechanic is how it's explained in the game. The phone guy literally tells us to put our cursor over it.
She said she stared at what she saw, putting your cursor right on its upper half. That's kind of specific, but whatever. Just her, I guess. Anyway, good night.
I've never really seen a FNAF game be meta like this before, but I guess How else are you supposed to explain the mechanic? I suppose you could say to stare at it, but that wouldn't indicate you need to touch it with your mouse. Overall, a very goofy introduction, and a character that I forgot about so much, I think I died to him more than any other character throughout this entire franchise. Okay, I have many questions. How did that design get into this place, and how did it just fade out of existence? It was called Finn. We never got around to finishing it. It was like Buster's pal. The head was never done, but he had his other pieces done. Although I noticed this Finn had his hands gone. This place is so damn weird. This place is so damn weird. Alright, so really nothing interesting said there at all. Finn was supposed to be Buster's friend. Buster is a fucking robot. He has no friends. Moving on to Night 5, as it should be much more interesting and hopefully have a more interesting post-night cutscene. Night 5 introduces the last threat this game has to offer, Wraith Vinard. A character that isn't too terrible to deal with, but will really just act to take more of your needed time away from Glancy, which is obviously not something we want. Vinard only ever appears on camera 8. Occasionally, when checking that camera, you will see Vinard's silhouette with no eyes. You will have to stare at him until his eyes appear. Once they appear, you will then have to quickly look away as if you aren't the fucking reason his eyes appeared in the first place. Something super interesting to note that I haven't mentioned so far is how these wraiths have been explained by the phone guy. Being the only characters he's convinced aren't real. But you might be wondering, if he doesn't think they're real, why does he mention them? That's a good point. Apparently, the guard that worked here before us left several notes about these wraiths, and the phone guy is reading her notes to us in the phone calls. Maybe as an in case, maybe just to make fun of her. Who's to say? Either way, I find it interesting. Vinard? With legs? What is going on anymore? I can't take things seriously. Wait, no. I hear sirens. I still haven't found Matthew. And I got several people outside awaiting my arrival. Police cars. Someone found out. Someone told them. Matthew, you bastard. I will find you. You won't get away with this. I can't believe this is how my story ends. It's not right. I can't. Matthew was never found by any officials or Andrew. Andrew attempted to bring the situation to court, but not enough evidence was collected. Andrew was deemed guilty for the corpse inside Buster's Diner World and was sentenced to death row, his execution following a month after being assigned. This was not the outcome he had thought of. It could have been worse. This story is false. Well, goddamn! Quick recap. In this game, we play as Andrew, the phone guy from the first game. We still don't fully know exactly who Matthew is, but he called the police and informed them that Andrew was at the building and had killed someone. They arrived, found the body in the Glancer suit, and had Andrew killed, giving us the fake ending. Oh god, endings, Dxtr. Let's quickly go over what it takes to get this true ending, please. Well, there are several minigames you will need to complete throughout the game in order to get this true ending. Let's blast through how to get them. During each night, a specific camera will have its name flickering slightly. Clicking on the name will shoot you into the minigame. On night 1, it's the main supply camera. On night 2, it's the West Hall. Night 3, it's the secondary supply entry. Night 4, it's the secondary supply entry again. And night 5, it's the power breaker. After completing all the minigames and successfully beating night 5, you'll get the true ending instead. The minigame. It spoke the words I couldn't find myself. Matthew died with his baby. A tape left on him. I can't explain what I've experienced here. I can't go on with this sudden guilt. This damned children's entertainment chain should have never happened. This outcome was not proper. And I can't handle it. I don't know what will happen next. I'll report the death of him and the corpse to the police. At least I can get off with no charges. I can't put myself to do it. I can't go the route my gut wants me to go. Later the same night, Andrew had a heart attack. No evidence was ever turned into the police due to this. Nearly a week later, police arrived after suspicion from pedestrians roaming the streets. Police had not told any officials about what was found and began to demolish the location. Andrew's story is over. An ending to a tragic story. There are no solutions to the problem. Diner World Entertainment was shut down immediately and ran out of business, seeking a new opportunity to reach into kids' hearts. This is the true story. Well, goddamn! Turns out it didn't matter what he did. Andrew still died, and no word of Matthew was ever heard from the police. We just can't win, can we? Well, luckily for us, this storyline does continue, and even more lucky for us, it continues in the best game in the series, and arguably one of the most creative FNAF games ever designed. I know who you are, Andrew Vargas. I've seen your name in records before. I know what you're doing. You want information. Lots of it. I'm no provider, but I can lead you to what you want. I know that man, Matthew, has been nothing but a mystery to you. His image is shrouded in a dense fog that your gaze cannot penetrate. But you want to break it, do you not? You can either go the full walk or fall short. There is no try this time. All the information you want to grasp so badly can be obtained. All you have to do is satisfy us. There are 3 captives full of knowledge below the storage facility. Treat them to our satisfaction, and they will live out to the 5th and final day. On that day, they will be free. They will be able to tell you all that they know. This is what you want, right? The data you seek is waiting for you. And here we are! Project Readjusted 3, the last game in the series and undoubtedly the best. This opening cutscene throws us right into the world of this twisted game. We play as Andrew. That might seem a bit confusing since Andrew died in the last game. But guess what? Apparently, both of the fucking endings weren't real. So what the fuck? I'm not joking, by the way. I'm being completely serious. Both of the endings in the second game aren't real. The true ending isn't real. Both the fake ending and the true ending both didn't fucking happen because it takes place before this one. So like, what the fuck was that all about, huh? Anyways, we're not sure who was speaking to us in that cutscene, but apparently there are 3 survivors that have all the information we need to solve whatever is going on with Matthew. And with that, we're tossed into night 1. This game does progress based on objectives instead of time. But rather than a game like Pizzeria Simulator where the tasks you have to complete are mind-numbing, the task in this game actually requires a small bit of brain power, and is truly one of the most creative takes on a FNAF game I've ever seen. We're tasked with protecting these 3 captives. In the cameras, you'll be able to see 3 rooms. Each of these rooms holds one of the captives. You can keep track of their stats at the bottom of the monitor, see how much hunger, thirst, and satisfaction they're all at. Note how much supply you have. Your goal throughout this night is to send these captives shipments of food and water. Then, once they're all satisfied, the night can end. When you open the gate, food and water will slowly be dispensed. You can control which room these packages will go to. The longer you take to send a captive something, the lower their satisfaction will go. At the top of the screen, you'll see a minimum grade you need to complete the night, and which grade you're currently at. Meaning you don't have to fill each room up to its entirety to complete the night. However, I'm a fucking badass and chose to get the best grade possible on each night. In order to refill your supplies, you will have to complete a task. A set of numbers will appear in a random order and you will have to click them in that order. When you finish, your supply will be slightly filled. Side note, if you ever see this sliding minigame instead of the number 1, that's because in that specific moment, I'm using footage from Indie Fuel. And in his playthrough, he was playing an earlier version of the game that used a different minigame. And that's all that happens on night 1. I could talk about the cameras for sure, but I think that'll become much more important in night 2, which actually brings on the first and main threat this game has to offer. But before we can get to that, in true final game lore dump fashion, after each night we get a post-night minigame to have fun with. In this minigame, we just kinda walk around. We check the stage in the main room and notice that there's supposed to be 2 animatronics on stage, the other being Finn. You may remember him from the second game. We go backstage where we believe Finn should be, only to find a dead child on the ground, bringing this minigame to a close. Something really awesome about this game is the patient hub. Dexter, what's the patient hub? If you'd shut the fuck up and watch the video like a normal person, instead of continuously asking questions like the girl you're watching a movie with that you really wish you didn't invite over because you're just trying to watch the fucking movie, I'd explain it to you. Sorry, lost my temper a little bit. Anyways, the patient hub is on the menu. Using it will actually let you go to talk to the 3 people you're protecting throughout the nights. Throughout the nights, heading to the patient hub, they will give you different pieces of information as the game goes on. On this first night, they don't tell you anything since they've been told they can't yet, probably by whoever put them here. This is such a cool and interesting integration into this game, and I think this is one of the big reasons why this game in particular is so underrated. Night 2 is where this game really starts to get real, introducing the first main threat of the game, Busted. Inside of your monitor, you'll notice the left half that I haven't really mentioned. Well, I'm about to mention it. You'll notice that it only has 3 cameras, but don't let that fool you. Busted will move around the cameras, not only trying to get to you, but to get to the captives as well. If at any point you can't find him on your cameras, that means he's in your office. Your office, by the way, is another thing I've neglected to mention. There are 4 entrances to your office, 2 on each side. You have the 2 obvious hallways in front of you, and then the 2 holes in your walls to the sides of you. Busted is very quiet, so you will have to make sure you're tracking him. Once Busted enters your office, you will have to scare him away with the light. Now, you may think, like most FNAF games, that we'd be given a flashlight, but no, that'd be too easy. In Project Readjusted 3, you're given a fucking glow stick to defend yourself. You know, one of those crack and shake things? Yeah, that's our main means of defense. When Busted is in your office, you have to hold the glow stick on him to scare him away, but there's a catch. Your glow stick cannot be used for very long at all. It has a very short lifespan, so you have to check really fucking quickly. Obviously, if you don't, you'll die. But if you remember, I mentioned Busted being able to attack the captives as well. While watching Busted on your cameras, you may notice that on any of the 3, he may get a bit too close to some of the patient doors. If he does, that's how you know he's about to attack them. When you see him doing this, you must ring the bell on your desk. The noise will attract him to your office and away from the patients. Something super interesting about Busted attacking patients is that if he kills one, you don't lose, and it will actually make the remaining nights easier since you'll have less mouths to feed. However, as I'm sure you could have guessed, if a patient dies, they will never come back throughout the rest of the game. That means no more talking to them in the patient hub at the end of the nights. And of course, if you let all 3 patients die, then you will lose the game. This right here is one of the coolest mechanics I've ever seen in a FNAF game. Project Readjusted 3 is literally just being placed in a saw trap, really. In the post-Night 2 minigame, we talk with the other guards about what we saw. They mentioned this is the second time this has happened. Walking up to the stage, we find another dead child, presumably killed by Buster. We're told to check the office for anything else, and we do. Upon finding nothing, we walk back, only to see the ghost of some unknown spirit that looks like Finn walking away.
I started seeing some weird things recently. They were purple weird things. It got closer as I blinded myself, but as I looked at it, it faded away. I don't know what to do. At least the leader himself isn't down here. He is very strict. He would be looking at me, making sure I was staying put and acting appropriately. He threatened to stop liquids from coming into my room if I didn't listen. He really wants us to go his way, so just send us supplies like he wants, at least when he is nearby. As long as he doesn't notice you aren't doing what he wants, he should be fine.
This place is a crazed house, and it's all your fault. I can't believe this! You better get out of here in the end, with me alive!
I've started hearing screams. It sounded like it came from a room adjacent to mine. Maybe I'm hallucinating. After all, we are under that old building. You know it had the fume problem, right? Surely you do. You used to work there. You told us all about you. My sister used to work there, but she hasn't touched it since. I think I've figured out why now. Just don't forget about your main threat, but don't let yourself get too paranoid about it. You got this. On night 3, we get introduced to the last threat this game has to offer, the purple hallucinations, explained by the fact that there are strange fumes coming from the facility above. These hallucinations act as a nuisance, but a nuisance you're going to want to maintain. They can appear in any of your cameras or in your office, and they're very quiet. If they're on your cameras, you have to stare at them, and if they're in your office, you have to flash your glow stick at them. They will never kill you themselves, but they will scare the patients if you don't get rid of them. And if the patients get scared, they'll scream, and busted will kill them. Not at all a difficult threat, but an annoying one nonetheless. The game doesn't really start to get too difficult yet at this point, so let's just move on to the post-night 3 minigame. In the post-night 3 minigame, we really just want to get out of the building at this point. We meet a guard who says that the crowd outside is still going spastic. As we try to walk outside, I'm assuming we start hallucinating? I'm not really sure because I have no idea what else I'm looking at could possibly even be. And the minigame comes to a close.
I'm too paranoid. You need to just get us out of here. The creatures are multiplying. Just more staring. Listen out for a squeal if something goes wrong over here. Those purple figures always come for us. Just make sure to get rid of them, please.
What's going on over on your end? I keep hearing such strange noises. If you want something out of me, you better keep me satisfied. I don't want whatever is coming for you near me. Ring the bell you were given if one of them is heading to my room, I wouldn't ring that bell all the time, since it is causing noises, of course. Don't be stupid.
Hey, I still can't talk about what I know yet, but I think I know something that may help you in your endeavors. I know some of the quirks of that thing that is hunting you right now. It's very stealthy. You need to keep an eye on it all the time. It may hide in various spots, so make sure to be up to snuff with your surroundings. I don't know much about its chip data, though. I only ever overheard my sister read out some blueprints she picked up on her last workday a few years ago. Night 4 doesn't introduce anything new, however I do want to take this time to mention a mechanic this game has that makes the entire experience way more difficult than it would normally be. Switching cameras. I know, that may sound like a mechanic that most people wouldn't even think twice about, but it's on this night that busted can start to get pretty quick when moving around. So quickly moving through the cameras will become important. However, even though there's only 3 cameras, switching through them quickly can prove to be quite nerve-wracking. You cannot click any camera at any time. You can only move to cameras adjacent to the camera you're currently on, which means if you're on camera 1 and want to get to camera 3, you will first have to click on camera 2. Typically, this wouldn't be an issue, but you have to wait for a static animation to play each time you switch a camera before you can switch it again. Sure, the animation itself isn't very long, but when you have to switch as much as you do, that time will quickly add up. Overall, this is more of a nitpick than anything, but it is something I noticed during my playthrough, which you can see on my second channel, Dxtr Black. The post-night 4 minigame is a little bit weird. We play as the ghost we saw at the end of the post-night 2 minigame. We walk around the building, talking to children and guards, hearing messages like, "I blame you," and "How can we punish you?" Eventually, we find the body of another child. We say that we can restore it, and upon coming into contact, we get the message, "You must kill them for me."
Just one more to go. Once you left last night, I heard a strange tumbling noise outside. It was metallic and heavy. I don't know what it was, but it may be coming for you this time. Nothing rings a bell, but every time I heard some alarm, it would scamper. I don't think whatever it was likes noise. You have something to play noise? Yes. Please use that to keep yourself safe, but only if it sounds like it's coming close. Using noise at the wrong time may cost you.
You better get me out of here ASAP! I'm done playing these games. If it weren't for that guy holding a pistol to my hand for telling you my information early, I would have been long gone. Get it together! I'm tired of talking to you. To get on with it!
I heard some ruckus outside, friend. I recognized the weird noise pattern from the debugging process from upstairs. Someone was altering the mascot's code. I know this just because of my sister's curiosity. She brought back some pink robot from her workplace to show me how messed up her work environment was. That thing was tossed in the end, It couldn't move regardless, but the same debugging process intro pattern she used was similar to the one I heard upstairs last night. I can only assume that the two systems are related, most likely by the same manufacturer. All I know is that those old models never liked being looked at after some wear and tear. We flashed a light on the pink thing and it sparked a little. It was a very strange find indeed. Well, I hope you can use this information to your advantage tonight. Let's hope we can see the sun once more. Night 5 introduces one final threat. I know, guys, I've been lying constantly throughout this video, but I prefer to call it keeping you on your toes. The final threat introduced is Subject Model 3A, being another annoying character. He will wander around your cameras and you just have to make sure you're not looking at him. If you look at him for too long, I'm assuming you can guess what happens to you. Major bun pounding, salad tossing, you get it. Don't look at him. Overall, he really doesn't add anything new to the mix, really just making it more annoying to keep track of Busted. But if you can complete it, we'll move on to the final minigame. In this final minigame, we play as a child, walking around the restaurant following what appears to be the ghost of a child. We follow them into the back room where the first kid was killed and speak to one of the animatronics. They apologize for what they did to us, probably in reference to killing us. They said their chip made them do it and explained that someone else is pulling the strings and making the robots kill people. It ends off by telling us we will never see it again and to leave. Then the minigame comes to a close.
Andrew Vargas, it seems you have found your way. We cannot say we are surprised at your feat, especially considering your perseverance was quite equal to your past endeavors. You found your sources, exactly what you wanted. Though, did you ever think to look for more data you could use towards your search? The patients you have saved do not hold all of the information, but just enough for you to draw a plausible conclusion. Regardless of your intentions with the data you hold, your time here is over. You have what you came for, but do you feel empty with what you hold? That is a question that will be left in the air for you to grasp. For now, you may take your prized patients outside of this facility with you until you find your true desire and recollection. We thank you for playing our game.
I can't believe it! You did it? I'm free from this place? Oh, I must tell you what I know. Well, okay, I was a producer for one of the most popular animatronic performer shows a few years back. I was vital, but I got to the point where I knew too much, and that is how I wound up here. This man was someone I used to work with. He created these things for his own entertainment business, but he eventually took it too far. He created a powerful computer to control all of his creations from a distance, with whatever behavior he wanted. He always left his plans on his work desk, but one day he felt like something was off. Some grew suspicious of his projects, myself included, but I never took it as far as this one group of people. They were dedicated to finding his grand computer. They went as far as setting up hidden cameras around the building to track anything they could, anything that could leave a trace back to its whereabouts. But they never found it, because the man attacked and killed one of them. I saw it on old discarded footage. That is all I know. I hope this helps you.
It took you long enough? Let's make this conversation quick. I was one of the construction employees set to renovate the supply and storage facility for future use. It was gonna be under some childish name like Busters, I think. I was the only one that showed up to the job early, like always. I got to one of the storage trucks I left outside, and that's where my life took a turn. They had a rotting corpse and dismantled robots in that truck, man. A rotting corpse. You could never understand how disgusting that was to see face to face. Sucker fell right out of the truck too, like it was last in line. It was in some blue wreck of a mascot suit. It had a camera stuffed in its mouth. It was horrible. I think you get it now. I went to go get my bag and quit my job, but some gray thing grabbed me and pulled me deeper into that building. Next thing you know, I was dangling for my life. Awesome, right? Well, it pulled me past some satellite. It was covered in those dumb white masks you've seen. The same one the guy is wearing. It's all some weird gimmick. But I know what that gimmick is for. That satellite was being used to get that white rabbit robot back from the depths of the forest, right off of Brickview Boulevard. It had to have been made for that. I'm no fool. I knew about that white monster rumor, and I even went hunting for it one time with the boys. It has to be linked. That's all I got for you. We better not come into contact like this again.
I have to owe you something for your determination, my friend. I'm honored. Oh, right, I do owe you something. I have something to tell you. Before this, I was an aspiring mechanical engineer. Machines have always enticed me, so I had been studying it for months prior to this incident. As you know, my sister had worked at that old supply and storage facility years ago. She was my main inspiration for this interest of mine. That night, when she came home with that pink robot, changed everything for me. We dug into the hardware of the robot ourselves. Our father had some spare tools in the garage, so we didn't have to rip into it to damage the thing even worse. We found a lot of weird oddities. One of the most obvious ones was its back. It had the tips of endoskeleton fingers buried in the suit piece, like it was torn apart by one of its own. Another one was its eye. We found a serial number printed in a fine black font face in the back of the eyelids, but it only routed to a 404 page on our home computer. Lastly, it had a code written on the inside of each of the suit parts. It read Model Pound 3C. I don't know the significance of the C. Maybe it was part of a trio, unless there are models with parts 3D or more. We extracted the chip from the robot, though. It was in a very rough condition, but it was somewhat intact. It even had a USB slot in it, which was extremely new at the time. We plugged the cord into our home computer, but it pulled up a ton of strange prompts. We clicked through all of them and found a folder with many text files inside of it. A lot of it was just a garbled mess, but some had what seemed to be addresses. They were impossible for us to decipher fully. Was this animatronic generation holding locations? That's the strange part. What's even more strange is that it had a file named task.txt amongst all the other distorted file names. We opened it, but for some reason the USB had ejected itself. We tried plugging it back into the computer, but it wouldn't pick it up again. All I was able to see before it disconnected was something along the lines of, "He must see what I have done, and maybe he will realize he should have stayed by my side. I know what I'm doing." That's all that I know, friend. See you on the other side.
Project Readjusted's story doesn't throw the answers at you. It gives you pieces, conversations, job descriptions, weird one-liners, and you're meant to piece together what was really happening behind the walls of Buster's Diner World. But once you line everything up, the picture is pretty clear. Two employees start a project they don't fully understand. It gets out of control, and one of them ends up paying the price for it. It all starts after Buster's shuts down. The public thinks the place is done, the animatronics are boxed up, and everyone has moved on. But Diner World Entertainment hasn't. They're still in the building, still tinkering, and still trying to push something forward. Something they only ever call the project. And at the center of it are two people, Andrew Vargas and his co-worker, Matthew. The two are exploring the closed building long after hours, checking the animatronics, looking through old hardware, and trying to locate something hidden deep inside the cast. Something the company wants extremely badly. A special chip connected to a hostile presence in the animatronics. They can't pull it out safely, they can't study it while it's roaming, and they can't risk handling it directly. So their entire plan is built around one thing: lure the entity into range, pull the chip, replace it, and get out. But they can't do it themselves. They need someone to sit in the office every night, act like a regular night guard, and unintentionally draw the animatronics towards them so Andrew and Matthew can track the patterns. That's where Hayden comes in. On paper, Hayden is just watching the cameras for 6 short nights. In reality, he's bait. Everything he sees, Buster, Glancer, Redeemer, all of it is part of a larger plan to drag this thing out. And for the most part, the plan works. The animatronics are active, the patterns are recorded, the project moves into its second stage. But then something happens that completely derails Matthew. someone else breaks into the building. A man who isn't supposed to be there. Someone snooping around who gets far too close to whatever Andrew and Matthew are doing. The fandom calls him the spy, and Matthew panics. Instead of letting their secret get out, he kills the intruder. Not an accident, a choice. And it's the moment everything changes. Andrew is horrified, Matthew goes quiet, and from that point on, the two of them aren't on the same page anymore. Not long after that, Matthew disappears. No goodbye, no confession, no explanation. He's just gone. And Andrew is left with two things: a project he no longer trusts, and a friend who might have destroyed himself trying to finish it. When Project Readjusted 2 begins, we're not playing as Hayden anymore. We're someone closer to the company, a technician finishing their final assignment for Diner World Entertainment. This job isn't about survival, it's about data. Watching animatronic behavior, tracking motion patterns, feeding information back into whatever the project is turning into. And in the background of all of this, someone, heavily implied to be Andrew, keeps repeating the same thoughts. He's been gone for so long. I need answers. Where did he go? The entire game feels like Andrew trying to keep the company satisfied while quietly searching for any clue about Matthew's disappearance. Meanwhile, the animatronics are no longer just mascots. They're infested, corrupted, wired shut, and torn open. The prototypes that were experimented on long after Buster's closed. The project has clearly moved forward, and whatever they pulled from those animatronics is now being pushed into something else, something bigger, something human. And Andrew eventually gets the lead he's been waiting for, something that points away from Buster's, away from the diner entirely, and into a new location, a facility the company is tied to, a place where living subjects are being kept alive for testing. And to follow this trial, Andrew makes a deal, a job offer he can't refuse, something that promises answers about Matthew at a cost. That's where Project Readjusted 3 picks up. Andrew is now inside this medical facility, sitting in a monitoring booth, watching over patients who can't leave their rooms. His job is to keep them alive by sending supplies down long, empty hallways, making sure they don't lose consciousness, and trying not to get killed by something stalking him in the dark. A twisted, hulking version of Buster that shouldn't even exist in a place like this. But the deeper Andrew goes, the more obvious it becomes that this facility is just the project's final phase. The animatronics were only the beginning. The chip, the patterns, the experiments. All of it was leading to human testing. And somewhere inside this building, one of the patients isn't just another victim. He's the thing Andrew has been searching for since the moment Matthew vanished. Matthew didn't run. He didn't escape. He didn't move on. He was taken. Absorbed into the same project he helped build. In Project Readjusted 3, Matthew is the subjected member, a living test subject altered by the very experiments he and Andrew once tried to control. And that's the real truth behind Project Readjusted. A company digs up something dangerous hidden inside their animatronics. 2 employees tried to pull off a secret extraction, someone dies, one of them vanishes, and years later the entire operation has grown into a human experimentation program, with Matthew trapped at the center of it, and Andrew desperately trying to undo the damage. This game never spells everything out, and the dev has even said the full story was never completely written down, but from what everything we do see, the trilogy comes down to a single idea. They started the project together, Andrew survived it, Matthew didn't. But as far as I could gather, and as far as I'm aware, that's all Project Readjusted has to offer. There was supposed to be a final installment, Project Readjusted 4 Jet Black, but it was cancelled due to scheduling conflicts and the pair incident of Game Jolt, which I'm not going to dive into today. Maybe another time. Overall, I think each game in this series progressively got better and better. I think the story I was able to piece together is really interesting and very good, but I really wish it was more concrete so I didn't have to speculate as much as I did. Project Readjusted 3 is a phenomenal FNAF game and one of the most creative I've ever seen, and I highly recommend you give this series a try. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think Project Readjusted is actually just a confusing dumpster fire? Let me know in the comments below. In my Five Nights at Maggie's video, I asked you guys which series you'd like to see me cover next, and my favorite comment is this one by Witchery. They said Tealerland, and while that's not really a series, it is a game I really loved and that I do have on my list to talk about on Dexter White, so you should be able to expect that video in the near future. The question of this video is, if there was one cliche in FNAF games that you could remove from every FNAF game ever, what would it be and why? With the question of the video being asked, subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you to all of my superfan channel members, you guys are the greatest. I've been Dexter, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!
One more. Come on, one more. Come on. Just do one more. Just one more. Just hey! Look at that. Holy shit. What the fuck? No, that's awesome. That's so fucking cool. That is so fucking cool. No, bro, that's based. It's based. Absolutely based. Look at that shit. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that freaking Riz? That's awesome. Nah, bro, that's fucking awesome. That's so cool. Hell yeah, dude. Fuck. Holy shit. No, that's awesome.